Okay. Peace and shalom, family. What's going on? It's your brother DivineProspect of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, and we are live for another Freestyle Friday session. This is May 14th, 2021, and we're gonna get it in. All right. We was out last Friday. We didn't go live, so we had to double up on today and make this enjoyable, because we missed the whole session. You know, every time we miss a session, I get phone calls. All right, so I understand. So we here today. All right, let's talk, let's build, let's freestyle like we always do, and let's have a great time. All right. So I'm gonna give a second for y'all to come on in. I'm gonna give a quick roll call to those who are jumping in, and then throughout the show, as I see new people, I give you a shout out so you can get acknowledged and recognized for contributing to this broadcast, and I truly appreciate it. All right. So let's take a moment, give you another second to come on in. All right, get settled. All right, throw this on your tablet, on your phone, on your TV, whatever you got to do to watch the show. All right. All right, so I'm gonna wait. I think we should be good at this. Oops. Okay. All right, let me know if the audio and video is fine. Let me know if the audio and video is fine. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if everything is in sync. If there's any locking up, any freezing. We always do a audio visual quality test before we begin. Just hit 1 if everything is straight. Hit 1. If there's some problems, hit 2. All right, and based on a consensus, that's gonna direct what we do next. All right, so we'll do this as people come on in. All right, let me know. All right, y'all saying it's sounding good. That's good. All right, y'all saying it's good. All right, it's clear. It's crisp. Okay, cool. All right, so as y'all coming on in, we give a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Royal Gem, Shalom. Bakariel, Shalom. Panther Denor, Shalom. Get Wise, Hebrew Israelite Women Preppers, Shalom. Joseph Wayman, Shalom. It's just a conversation. Shalom. Kenneth Boyd, AJ Bethia, Marcus Jarman, Moriel Roshach. It's just a conversation. I think I said shalom to you already. Shema Israel, shalom. J Lockhart 25, shalom. Sir Vertout, shalom. Asantawa, shalom, sis. Labor Movement, Gabar, Alaha, Bevi Bev, shalom. Ramal Yahu, shalom. Lucky Lou, shalom. Ariyahu, shalom. Let's see who else we got up in here. My brother Demetrius Easley, shalom. Keeping you in my prayers, family. And definitely call and let's schedule an appointment, because we got to wrap, my brother. All right. And you should know about what. All right. We'll talk. All right. Shout out to Luke 12:51. Truth. Shalom. Truth Seeker. What's going on? Drino Israel. Yo, Drino. As you can see, nobody responded. Yeah, all those people that talk all that trash, you're gonna be like, what's Divine talking about? I'm gonna get into that in 1 second. All right. Shalom to Aishu Cole, True People of the Bible. Shalom. Zeph. Shalom. Jalon Israel, shalom. Shalumiel, Hannah, shalom. Sunshine Lindley, shalom. All right, cool. All right, y'all said everything is good. Shabbat shalom to y'all keeping the Shabbat. Thank you, my brother Jalon Israel, for the donation, King. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Shout out to Malak Dawid, shalom. All right, and I think that's all of y'all for right now. All right, as you're coming on, make yourselves at home. Kelvin Jones, shalom. All right. Make yourselves at home. My brother, Oriyahu Ben Shem, shalom. Donnell Jones in the building, shalom, King. What's going on? All right. Sydney Woods, shalom, Aki. What's going on? All right. All right. This is the lifeblood of this broadcast, is the people you see here in the chat. They're the ones that make it what it is. And they actually determine the direction in which we go, and the things that we share, we talk about, we teach, etc. Tons of stuff has been going on since the last time I was live. And last time I went live, I think I was doing another test live stream, but it looks like everything is going good now. I'm building up my background. As you can see, I have more stuff that I'm adding to my background that I think will make things a little bit more spruced up. If you look right here, see my fingers at right here. It's a little subscribe board that I got with a little hand on it, finger on it, that actually points to the YouTube play button. So make sure you guys, if you're brand new, hit that subscribe button. If you're brand new, hit that subscribe button. All right, hit that subscribe button. All right, and up there, this item that I got up there, show it to y'all on the next live stream. Next live stream, I'm gonna show you what it's about. But that's for those who are interested in indoor gardening. All right, but I'll show that to y'all when I set my one right there. When I set that up, next broadcast, we'll go into that, talk about that a little bit. But as you can see right above, right here, that's our naturopath eater binder that has all of our quick study guides in regards to health. All right. Okay. So with that being said, we're about to begin the show. All right. I want to start off by saying thank you to all of our KHM members. And remember, this is the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries YouTube channel, right? I'm the host, spokesman, etc. Sometimes we may feature other people, but I always have to speak about the ministry because this is the ministry channel, right? So I got to speak to the people in the ministry, and then I can speak to the public at large. So I want to say thank you to all of our members who are signed up for their monthly dues. I appreciate that. Anybody that's interested in joining the ministry, if you've been sitting on the sideline for some time, you want to get active and involved in your community, you want to translate all this deep information into practical real-world solutions to resolve the societal ills that we experience in our communities day to day, KHM is one of many avenues to get that done. All right. We have membership dues of $50, and that goes towards several things. Number one, it goes to a storehouse. So that way, any surplus that we have of funds, we use that in the event that any member has a financial emergency, we can bail them out, and not just bail them out, but provide them with a support team to help them investigate what's going on with them financially and get them back on their feet. Number two, we pay out stipends to our volunteers that help out with the ministry. Number three, it goes towards upstart capital for the programs and services that we want to create and or that we've created in regards to providing something to the community. We have tons of those things in the works. Our KHM virtual homeschooling service, our Israelite security deployment force, our senior assistance program that we have, our health consultation program by way of Naturopath Eden, our debt elimination program by way of Jubilee Mary Mission. We have our emergency deployment services for the event there's a natural disaster, a subscription-based service that you pay for it every month in the event there's a disaster, almost like insurance, that we'll send a truck your way with the necessary supplies that you need, even gas. All right, because out here in Atlanta, a lot of y'all who are on the east side know about the pipeline hack by Colonial Pipeline, that the pipeline was hacked by a group called Dark Side, and they hacked it. And in doing so, they actually tampered with the infrastructure of their IT department. So that actually caused an oil shortage, right? And it was really crazy. I mean, according to what we saw in the news last, only 43% of the gas stations had gas here in Atlanta. And Atlanta is crazy busy. And then that's just Atlanta, but almost all of the East Coast states, you know what I'm saying, all the way up, I think, to like Virginia, something like that. So in an event like that, the program service that we're working on is that we stockpile those things like gasoline. And what happens is anytime there's an emergency or something like that, we can send a truck your way to deliver that to you to get you back up and running. All right. All right. So that's where those things go towards in regards to ministries concerned. Also, it helps us to use that upstart capital to produce products, goods for the community, and tons of other things, right? The key thing is if you're a member of the organization and you're paying your membership dues, we're not just asking you to pay the dues and walk away. We need you to get involved. We have tons of groups, and you have the ability to create a group. If you see that there's a need in the community and you have an idea of what needs to be started to provide a program, service, a group, or whatever the case may be, we encourage that. All right. So this is not a pay and walk away and just say, hey, I'm part of KHM. But then people ask you, well, what are you involved in? And you can't say what you're involved in. That's problematic. Right. So we don't want people to just treat this like church. You know what I'm saying? That's not what this is. All right. We're here because the second side of KHM is the work that we do amongst each other and work that we do in the community. This part right here that you see through this channel, a lot of the educational stuff that leads to our Patreon. And anytime you sign up for the Patreon, you are supporting the scholarship information wing of KHM. All right. And then if you want to get involved, meet people who are like-minded, want to do things in the community, make a difference, then that's when you have the KHM wing. All right. So thank you to all the members that paid your dues, because May dues is here right now. So I've seen a lot of people paying their May dues. So thank you for that. Any member who may have missed that email in down below in the description. You're going to see a link. Just click on the link and you can use that to sign up for your membership, and it'll be able to do recurring debits, so that way you don't have to worry about paying it every month. It'll come out automatically. All right. So I appreciate that. All right. So I want to make sure I get that out the way. Also, if you don't have the app, you want to go to the Apple App Store, or you want to go to the Google Play Store. And when you get there, you want to type in My One Church app, My One Church app. When you see it, you want to click on it and download and install it. And once you install it and the icon pops up, click on it. And then in the zip code field, you want to type 30064, 30064, hit enter. Once you do that, you'll see Kingdom Harbinger Ministries appear as an entry. You want to click on it, and then it's the gateway to bring you into our personal app. All right. So if you don't have it, get it. And if you're a member, you have to have the app, and you need access to our online software, Kingdom Harbinger Ministries online software. So that way you can get involved in the groups, join the discussion boards, upload files that you want to share with the community, get involved in various groups and things that we have going on. You get to check out our monthly calendar of events and so forth. All right. But if you're a member and you don't have access to the online software, please email us at khmgroupemail@gmail.com, khmgroupemail@gmail.com, and we will take care of it. All right. All right. Also, we just brought on some new admins. So if you're a Patreon, you may receive a call soon. If you're a member, you will receive a call, and you've been receiving calls. Okay. If you may see a strange number, please answer it. All right. Because it may be from us. Now, until we get our permanent number in place that we do call outs on, our members are calling from their setups at home. So if you've missed the call, please check your text. Also, please check your email, because we try to text, email, and call. All right. We do the best we can to get in touch with you, because if you've paid your due, we want to make sure we touch bases with you. Thank you. Welcome you, see if you need anything, and make sure that you're involved in something that we're doing in regards to the ministry. All right. So we can better our communities. All right. According to Jeremiah chapter 29, we are to seek the peace of the city and intervene on its behalf before Yah, for in this peace we shall have peace. And that is what we're here to do as we await until this captivity is over. All right. All right. So I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'll be right back. Thank you, my brother Oriyahu Ben Shem, for the donation. I'm gonna step away for 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right. So I see Bevy Bev says, is a $50 Patreon member considered a KHM member as well? No, the Patreon and KHM membership are two different things. For the Patreon, when you pay the $50 tier, there are some benefits that you get exclusively at the $50 tier, as well as everything else that comes along with the lesser tiers. All right. So that goes strictly towards investing into the scholarship, education, teaching, resources aspect of the ministry. And if you do want to get involved, like some people just like it for the information, and that's fine, right? That's what the Patreon is there for. But some people really want to get involved, and they want to put their money where their mouth is in regards to investing in something that they can be a part of, that's going to resolve the society ills in the community. That's what the KHM membership is for. So they're two separate things, right? One is the scholarship wing, and one is the activist wing, getting involved in a community. All right. So some people, they're involved in both. You know, I got some people that do the $100 tier and Patreon, and then they getting down with the KHM membership, and they're all in. Right. And remember, the products, the service, and I'm gonna give you an example of two things in regards to a benefit for being a KHM member as well as being part of Patreon in a second. But the programs and services that we create, the members that are part of the ministry that have invested, so we have the upstart capital to create it, they get those for free at a discount price, right? So that's how far their investment is going, that they have a huge ROI in other areas as well. We provide free training. We have 6 required training courses, plus we offer 100 plus others that you can take at no cost to you, that are certificate, and that you get a certificate after you pass the course, and then you can add that to your resume, hang it up on your wall, whatever the case may be. So we empower you by providing you skills training as well in various different areas, business acumen, time management, conflict resolution, communication strategies, etc. Right? So these things that we provide, because we want to empower our members, whether for the duration of time they're with us. They can be here with us until the wheels roll off, or they can be here with us for a season and move on. That's what we're here to do. Also, we're not a church. We're not a congregation, right? We're a virtual ministry organization, which means you can feel free to stay in whatever camp or church or congregation that you're at. And when you want to get involved to translating that information into the next step, which is to get involved with the community, to build better reports, fix problems within and problems without, then that's what we're here for. All right. So that's what that's here for. We don't collect tithes. We don't collect offerings. We don't collect any of that. We just simply ask for $50, because with $50, we've calculated that we can go a long way. In another maybe 6 months from now, once we get everything up and running even more, then we'll be able to cut that membership dues down to $25, because we'll be able to have it subsidized with other contracts, additional fundraising that we're looking to do, and grants that we will be receiving soon. All right. So we're going to try to cut that down from 25, and then at the end of the year, try to cut it down to about $20. Right. So we're not trying to gouge, or we're not trying to, suck money out the community. We just simply want to go to the community first. So whatever we create, we only have to answer to ourselves. We don't have to answer to any entity outside of us, because if we go to a venture capitalist, if we go to an angel investor, if we go to any other entity, right, to ask for funding to start things up. Now, to maintain and keep it running or to expand, that's different. But to start it up, if you go to any place outside of your community, you got to answer for things. And if they don't like it, they're going to pull your funding or do something else, or whatever the case may be. But if we go amongst ourselves and raise the capital from amongst ourselves, we only have to answer to each other. That's it. We are the owners of whatever it is we create out of whatever we invest into. And that is important, because you can go and invest in stocks on the stock market. You don't own that stock. You own a share of the stock. You don't own the company. You own a small percentage, if that. And at any given time, anything can happen and you can lose money, because you don't own the company that you're getting the stock in. Okay. With KHM, we collectively own it as an Israelite community. People talk about nation building all the time. And I'm saying, what system you have in place to nation build? What system you got in place? It has to be run financially. Nothing can't be run for free. It just can't. People can't just do things out of love. They can, but at some point there's a limit. And I've seen and I'm not saying all churches, but I've seen what some churches have done, which have sucked people dry, taking tithes, offerings, 3, 4, 5 additional offerings on top of that. Okay. And then you giving up your free time to them, volunteering everything. And then the moment you're unable to pay your tithes or offerings, it's bye-bye. Thank you for your service. You can go that way. We appreciate it. And guess what? You don't own nothing unless you're part of one of those Baptist churches and you're one of the members. You're responsible for voting your pastor in. But that's something neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, people talk about nation all the time. We're doing it. So while they're talking, we're doing it. Right? So that's just the way it is. Right? Unfortunately, it costs in order for us to do this. Shout out to my sister Shamira. She has said something to me. She said salvation is free, but ministry costs. And I wholeheartedly agree. Unfortunately, it does. Right? So I appreciate you for the support. So again, no problem. Get wise. Take your time, my brother. And again, continue to look us over. There's no pressure. If you're not ready to join yet, there's no pressure, right? Continuously look us over. See if it's something that you want to do, get involved in, because it may be a fit for you. It may not. You may just know it, so you can pass it on to somebody else. You never know, right? But nonetheless, we appreciate you just showing up on this broadcast, clicking that like button, sharing the video, being subscribed, and taking in everything that we have to offer you without anything in return, right? You're not obligated to do anything. Right. But at the same time, we want to incentivize that investment. Right. So with that being said, I just want to make sure I put that out there. But again, we have our admins in place. We are training the admin, so we will be in constant contact with all of our members for KHM membership. And then all of our Patreons, we will be in touch with everybody. We're going to make a personal phone call to try and talk to as many people as we can, to thank you, to see how you're doing, see if you need help or assistance, see what else we can do for you, how else we can make things better, etc. Because customer service, and we say customer service, and we use that loosely, but handling the people of Yah, right, through the avenue of customer service, quality, white glove customer service. It's how you handle your people. Right? They are the priority. They are the lifeblood to keep things going. So a simple call, even a text, email is fine, but a call can make somebody's day. Just say, we was thinking about you and we just wanted to say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to the family. Is there anything we can do to help you out? All right. Feed the spirit. Hey, I know a lot of those stories, my brother. A lot of those stories. You know what I'm saying? It's really crazy, man. All right. Shout out to Sister V Love in the building. Shout out to Sister Bina, Black Av, my brother, the Village Faction, Mark Moore, Richard Lloyd, Bait, Yisrael, Kenny, Shalom. What's going on? Elder Lucy in the building. Shalom, shalom. You know what I'm saying? So I thank the Most High that we got our admins. I appreciate their hard work and effort. And now I do want to share something with you guys. Again, a benefit for signing up for our Patreon, and as well as being a member of KHM. I want to give a special shout out to my project management team. I have tons of project managers, and they are phenomenal. They do so many things in my absence. They only need to call on me here and there for authorization, and once they get it, they put that work in, man. I'm telling you, we have the best PM team on the planet, and that's how I know we're going to get, where we at right now, a year from now, it's a wrap. And I know that because our PMs, so structured, so organized, so focused, man. They're phenomenal, man. So I want to give a shout out to all of our project managers, man. Y'all are wonderful. Y'all are the VIPs. And we have one of our project management groups complete a project. So all praise to the Most High. We got 6 more on the table. We got like 10, 12 more to go. But they completed a project, and I'm excited. I'm happy about it. And I want to show it to you guys. I want you guys to see it. All right. So just give me a second. Let me show it to you. And again, if you're a Patreon member, at the $10 or more Patreon member, you'll be able to get this item that we put together at no cost. And if you're a member of KHM, you will also be able to get access to this as well. We're going to send access via a push notification. So that way, this is why you need to have the app on your phone so you can receive these things once these projects completed. And we want to thank our Patreon and our members because you guys' contribution helped this to become a reality. And we truly appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show it to y'all in 1 second. So just give me a second. Let me bring it out. Let me bring it out. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? How come I don't see it? Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? That's strange. Oh, here it is. My bad. All right, I found it. I found it. Should have had this prepared in advance. It just came to me. All right. So check it out. Shout out to my brother Get Wise for the donation. I appreciate that. You and the KHM have my trust. Aki, again, thank you for all y'all do and everyone that supports our community. Yes, my brother. Yes, definitely. Shout out to Hosea Humble. It's been hard to catch you live, King. Shabbat Shalom. Same to you. Same to you, my brother. Shout out to Alexander McCaskill in the building. Shalom, the Village Faction. Shalom. Yes, DB. And the rest of y'all put that work in. You already know I was going Village Faction. You already know, King. All right, so let's go ahead and show it to the people. KHM presents the Truthworks mixtape volume 3. Proceeds from this project will be used for community development projects. All donations are accepted. So if you are not part of KHM and if you're not part of the Patreon, we'll be offering this access to this for a $10 donation. So we can use that because the funds that we raise We're creating a budget because we're creating our music group, our own music label. All right. And we're going to actually get artists, quality artists, and be able to take care of everything 360-degree wise for them. That means album art. That means studio time. That means marketing, promotion, and getting them on the radio. When I say radio, I'm not talking about the Israelite community. We got to bring that light outside the community. So we're going to get them on other YouTube platforms, on local radio stations, get them on tour. We're going to do all of these things. And now the way it's looking like, this coronavirus thing is dying down some. So by the fall, late fall, winter, when we start to get things up and running for our music group, it's a wrap, right? But we use the proceeds from these past 3 projects to put towards investing into this music group, and all of the upstart capital we're getting from our membership dues are going towards us creating an actual music group that we own, that we operate. That means you get your own masters, you keep your own masters. We don't keep it, you keep it. Okay. All right. We're going to do our people right because we follow Torah. All right. So Patreon members, you will see a post from this soon. Once I get on it to give the final okay and sign off on this project. Again, my PMs did an excellent job putting everything together, man. And again, I don't like to micromanage people. I like to just tell people, look, this is the vision. This is how it needs to get done. I'm going to trust you to get it done. And along the way, communicate with me. If you need authorization for something, just ask. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't sit there and just wait for me. They got the work done, right? They took initiative. They were proactive. They know how we get busy. So I appreciate all my PMs, and we got this done. So if you are a member, you will receive a push notification with the link to access the mixtape. If you are a Patreon member, you will get a link to access the mixtape. And then we'll be making a video, a sample of some of the songs in a video that we posted on the YouTube channel. So that way you can sample it if you're looking to give a donation of $10 or more to get access to this mixtape. All right. I heard a couple of tracks on it. I didn't finish it, but so far it's fire. It's really fire. And if you like the other 2 mixtapes, you need this one. And if you want all 3 mixtapes, you can get them for $20. $20 donation will get you all 3 mixtapes if you did not get volume 1 or volume 2. So you get 1, 2, and 3 for a $20 donation, or you can just get the new one, which is this one here, for a $10 donation. All right. And again, we're using these funds so that way we can create, guess what? An actual music label that we own, we operate. And it's not going to be a small budget either. This is why we're working towards contracts, governmental, non-governmental contracts, doing fundraising campaigns, getting grants. So this is something we're going to put a lot of bread in to get done. However, we're going to cut a lot of the headroom because we know different ways to market, to promote without really putting out a lot of money. We're being very smart with this. All right. That way our artists do not have to compromise with anything. Okay. All right. So he says, will the KHM theme song be behind? Not on this one. The KHM theme song is on volume 1. And then the second KHM theme song is on volume 2. Volume 3 does not have a KHM theme song. They're on volume 1 and volume 2. We will be changing the intro to this YouTube channel with a new logo, a new animation, and a new song, which you probably heard from my brother Lorvin. Shout out to Son of Shemites that we have from volume 2. We'll have a brand new intro coming soon to this YouTube channel. All right. I know a lot of y'all liked it and etc. I understand. All right. So Shavuot, Ramal Yahu, the Nazarene. Thank you for asking that. We were supposed to have the calendar done, but that's taking some time. I know. So I apologize for the delay on that. However, once we complete it, as soon as Tabernacles is done, we're going to immediately get to work on the second calendar, the third calendar for next year, 2022. So that way it'll be available at the beginning of the year, y'all willing. All right. So the date that we have for our Shavuot is June 6th. And the reason why is because we wait till that next Sabbath after we completed our 11 bread, right? That next Sabbath, and started to count 49 days. And then the 50th day, which would be a Sunday, is June 6th. All right. So that's the date that we arrived. That's when we have our Shavuot. There also will be a degree ceremony, a graduation ceremony. But again, as we get closer to that date, I'll put more and more information out. I'm working hard towards, y'all willing, a degree. So we'll see what happens. You know, I leave it all in the hands of the Most High. You know, again, I've been working on projects and courses here and there and stuff over time. I never really considered getting a degree, but when it was proposed to me that our own community has our own university that is accredited and that we want more quality, more rays and students of Yah, you know, to go through, you know, those ranks in order to get that degree so that we can standardize things in the community, the way that we learn, the way that we teach, etc., and be able to be rewarded with a degree for that. So that way now the world can start to respect the things that we do, because they look at us like we're ghetto. They look at us like we high school dropouts, we ex-felons, right? That's how they view Israelites. It's crazy. If you look at my team on KHM, you're gonna be like, what? And if you are that person, so what? Come on in. We'll take you in. Give you the skills, the training, the resources, everything you need. All you have to do is have a willingness to serve Yah, and we will button you up, straighten out your tie, right? Brush off your shoulders and get you right into the game. Okay, we're not going to use that slander as a means to try to stop this movement, because the scariest thing to them is when we start to appeal to the upper middle class and the upper class. They don't want that. When we start to influence nations, they don't want that. But you know what? It's all part of prophecy. They can't stop it. It's all in the Most High's hands. It is what it is. It is what it is. All right. All right. Hosea. All right. No problem, King. I appreciate that. If anybody's interested in the Cash App information, you should see it there in the description below. If you want to give us the Cash App for it, if you Cash App it, please put in the description KHM Mixtape Volume 3. KHM Mixtape Volume 3. So we know what the Cash App is for. And please, if you can, also squeeze in your email, because we need to know where to send it, right? Or you can email us and tell us what Cash App you used, and we can get it to you, all right? So what I'll start to do, again, it's not available yet, but when it is available, when we put up the video, that so you get the samples of it, there'll be a link in the description you can click on, and with that link, you can pay directly. So actually, you know what? Hold off on paying for it now. We're going to have a custom link you can click on and take care of it that way. So that way we can keep everything organized and make sure everybody gets their mixtape. All right. But if you're a Patreon, you get it automatically. If you're a member, you get it automatically. If you're not a Patreon, you're not a member, then what are you waiting for? Right. There's tons of freebies like this that's going to come out based on your investments into the ministry. And when this music group comes up and we start to do all these things with these artists and create opportunities for these artists, so that way they don't have to compromise. That's what autonomy is. That's what we're about. Self-governance. We own it. They can't say nothing. They can't stop us. They can't do anything. Okay. All right. El Fuego. Details of that will be coming in June. All right. And then you'll have the information you need in regards to the fall semester. We'll be laying that out in June. All right. They're tying up loose ends now to make sure when we complete the award ceremony, the degree ceremony, and then from there in the fall they'll be bringing on new members. All right. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to make sure this is there. Now also I want to say this. Hold on, let me drop out of that. Also, we have a member of our organization. Her name is Vanessa Lindsay. She has grant writing classes. If you're interested and wanting to know how to write grants at the local, state, and federal level, let us know. Okay, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and we will get you into our grant writing program. This is extremely important because most of our people do not know how to write grants. And you think that they're difficult, they're tough. No, they're not. You just have to know how to do it, and you have to be trained to do it. So what we want to do is start bringing in more revenue into our community by teaching our people how to apply properly for grants. So email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com if you're interested in getting into this class, and we'll get you into the class. You can learn how to write grants and know how to empower your business, your not-for-profit, your congregation, whatever the case may be, and not have to, drain your members for money. You can actually write the grants for yourself, take care of yourself, and then own the things that you create. All right. So again, just being a network of KHM, we have tons of resources, right? Manpower, skill sets, all that type of stuff. All right. All right. Cool. All right. Shout out to Deborah Newsome in the building. Shalom. Y'all, what's up? Sun and light. Shalom. Miss B. Shalom. What's going on? Scott Garrett Headley. Shalom. Son of Yadre, yes, grant writing is a gem, and it's necessary to put it back into the Black and brown community, because a lot of us don't have stuff because we don't have the money, or you go to a bank and you settle for a predatory loan with interest at like 30 to 40%. You know how crazy and ridiculous that is? If you get a grant, you don't have to do that. Look up community foundations. You may have them in your city, your town, and in your state. Those are local fundraising entities that raise funds to create grants to give it back to the people who have created the actual entity called the community foundation. Free game. I just gave it to y'all. All right. Financially empowering the community. So what more can you ask for? Like I said, when you invest in KHM, we start throwing these things out at you so that way you have it. Here you go. Here you go. Free game, free game. More of this, more of that. That's what we're here to do. All because the people support us. We're here to support your back. All right. So if you're interested, get wise, my brother, email us and let me hook you up. All right. Shout out to Lady Ados in the building. Shalom, Yaakov, Shaul, shalom, shalom. Slow flow to God, shalom. Yes, he said smash that like button. Again, you see this over here? That's our subscribe. And that's our little finger right there to click on that subscribe button. If you're brand new, hit that thumbs up and share this video. Let's get it up the ranks so that the YouTube algorithm could catch it and start throwing it at people who have never been exposed to this information before in their life. All right. Shout out to everybody that donated. Thank you, The Pretty Issue, for your donation. I appreciate that, sis. Thank you so much. And anybody else, if I missed you, if you gave a donation, I want to say thank you in advance. If I don't see the screen, I appreciate that. All right. All right. So that's it for the membership. Let's move on. Let me tell you guys what we got going down for the Patreon. Tons of stuff going down for the Patreon. But first, let me show you guys what we have coming up on our Patreon. All right. And if you're Patreon, you already know about this. All right. Our Death to Dogma series. Coming up on Patreon. It is a Patreon only series. You can only watch this on Patreon. All right. Now, what is Death to Dogma? So what we do is we have we record, because you know we have the intro and an outro, and then in the middle we talk about it. So we select the dogma from Judeo-Christianity. The first one we're going to tackle is what's called original sin, because original sin is something that is not in alignment with Israelite culture, and it's not even biblical, but we're going to deal with that in the video. And then what I do is we identify the dogma. We talk about the provenance or origin of the dogma, the purpose of why the dogma was created, the development of the dogma over time, where the dogma stands today in modern scholarship and in the realm of Judeo-Christianity, and how it is detrimental in getting you back in touch with your Israelite heritage and culture. Right? It is very it's a form of entanglement that pulls you away from the essence of the text. So we identify it, we break it down, and we kill the dogma. Right? We're gonna have the dogma put up there. We're gonna have a boom. A shot on the dogma. The dogma is dead once we're done with it. And these videos are going to be about 15 to 30 minutes. They're not going to be long videos. Therefore, I cannot teach everything about it. So while you're watching the video, there's going to be different cues that's going to pop up on the screen, different Easter eggs, different cues and stuff, different other points of research and references. So as you're watching, as I'm talking about it, generally, there'll be other resources on there for you to click on, for you to go research and look more into the things that I'm saying in the video. But we're going to keep it at about 30 minutes the most. We're not going to go no more than 30 minutes. All right. I want to keep it short so that people can share it. So that way they don't see the length and complain about it, but they can share it and you can get it quick, fast, and it can help you jumpstart your research and let you know why we have to put that dogma to death. All right. So that series is coming soon. And again, if you're on a Patreon, stay tuned for it. I'm working hard on it. I got a new video editing software that makes editing more engaging. Okay, so I'm just excited to get that popping. All right, I'm excited to get that popping. All right, so Death to Dogma series is coming soon, so please stay tuned for that. Also, what we have on top of our Death to Dogma series is our Let's Talk About It. All right, this is also an exclusive only for Patreon. All right. Again, the Let's Talk About It series. In the Let's Talk About It series, what I'm doing is I am talking unfiltered. That doesn't mean I'm cursing, being explicit. But on this YouTube channel, because it's a public channel and it's open to families and so forth, certain topics and things I don't touch on in depth purposely because I want to have a more private setting for that. And Patreon is that setting. All right. So on there, we're going to pick about different subjects. Like the first one that I'm going to do on there, we're going to talk about ethnicity and race as it pertains to the biblical narrative and the image that is being put out there in regards to reflecting what these characters look like based on modern scholarship and other worldviews, points of view, etc. on the topic. This is something that I don't really dive into too heavy on this channel, but on Let's Talk About It, I'm going in. All right. And that's also going to be about a 30-minute podcast session. It's our video podcast session only for Patreon. So please, if you're not part of Patreon, sign up. I also have the animation intro. Debuted it on Patreon so they can kind of see what it looks like when the show comes on. Again, we're putting these things together, man. We want to give back everything that I can, squeeze every ounce of what I can into the Patreon because people's putting their hard-earned funds into keeping the scholarship element of the ministry going. And by giving you guys these shows, I'm giving you more than what you're investing in. I mean, if you look at the things we give on the Patreon, it is ridiculous. Anybody's part of the Patreon, there's no way you can go through all this information in a lifetime. And we're still adding every week. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I mean, it's sometimes I think some people just get overwhelmed by it. It's like, yo, my brother, man, this is too much, man. This is too much. All right, so that's for the Patreon. Again, let's go through the Patreon. Let's see what some new stuff that we got on the Patreon that if you're not part of the Patreon that you're missing out on. All right, so let me bring it up on the screen real quick so you guys can see it. All right, and then there's a book also on the Patreon I want you guys to take a look at. If you're not part of the Patreon, you want the book, you can email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com and we can show it to you, all right? So here's our Patreon. We have 376 patrons. All praise to the Most High. We're trying to hit 400 if we can in the next 15 to 16 days. We're trying to hit another 24 patrons so we can hit 400. And we're on the road to 1,000. We're trying to get 1,000 patrons by the end of this year. 1,000. And we're going to be the only Israelite organization to hit 1,000 patrons. But once we get there, we're going to start reaching out to as many Israelite patrons that's out there and teaching them the ropes on how to build a successful Patreon. We're going to do classes on that, right? We're going to teach people how to run a successful YouTube channel. We're going to run classes on that, right? Because we don't just want to hog all of this success to ourselves. We want to be able to bring in the support and bring in the finances so that way we can then empower others, right? So this is what we're doing. And again, Patreon now is reaching out to me constantly and trying to invite me to all these sessions they have going on, ask me if I want to partner with them and everything like that. I've been holding off on the partnerships and the features for now because I want to get our numbers up. And when our numbers get up more astronomically, because at that point, I don't need to ask them for nothing. I'm going to tell them how we're going to get it done. And they're going to be like, wow, you teach about Israelite stuff, man. We don't have no Israelite stuff that has these many patrons. I'm like, yes. And we're going to get more. We're going to take over. We're going to run this show. This is how we're going to get down. And it's all information because the purpose of that is to pique their interest, to look into further to see what our Patreon is about. And when they see what our Patreon is about, they're going to learn the truth. Simple as that. Through scholarship, not just mere opinions, but through scholarship. All right. So we have 299 images, 18 links, 2 posts, 2 writings, 57 videos. A lot of those images you see there are from our books that we offer, our articles that we offer, etc., etc., etc. All right. So I'm going to show this to y'all. This is don't miss this upcoming message this Saturday. It may be speaking directly to you. This has to do with our Sabbath message that I'll be working on, that I'll be recording and editing. As soon as I'm done with this session, this Freestyle Friday session, I'll be doing that. Let me show you guys what that looks like so you can see that for 1 second. Let me bring it up. We're going to get on to the show in a second. All right. So that one is, where is it at? Here it is. All right. That one is this here, our Sabbath Empowered lesson for May 15, 2021. Be careful what you whine for. All right. Be careful what you whine for. There's a huge lesson in that. I mean, I'm in Rob McCarthy, I guess, if you want to. It's a Freestyle Friday show. If you want to, you can. Shout out to my brother Amon Ra McCarthy, BSRRT. Shalom. Gold Surfer in the building. Shalom. Jack L. Black. Shalom. Shalom. Same day. Shake the Grave. Shalom. Shalom. Malkaya Uriel. Shalom. Shalom. Emmanuel Marcellin. Shalom. Sister Allison in the building. Shalom, sis. Shalom. Shalom. All right. Hopefully I got everybody. Ramal Yahu, the Natsarim. I do not subscribe to the tribulation at all. I don't subscribe to that. Okay. I don't subscribe to that doctrine. I used to, I don't anymore. It is not biblical. All right. The tribulation in regards to the 7-year tribulation, 3.5 years of peace, 3.5 years of torment and craziness, where there's going to be a rapture before the tribulation occurs. I don't subscribe to that anymore. And I can show you all the breadcrumbs of where that goes back to. John Nelson Darby was not the beginning of that. All right. He's credited with it, but there was a lot of things going on before he even came on the scene and subscribed to that doctrine. The Cotton Mather's and them, you got to watch them too, because there was heavy proponents of that before C.I. Scofield came on the building and created the C.I. Scofield Study Bible, which really ushered that doctrine in here in the U.S. All right. But I don't subscribe to the tribulation, my brother. All right. At all. It is not biblical in any way, shape, or form. All right. All right, so shout out to JD Israel in the building. Shalom. So he says, man, I just bought 2 books. So you know, Yawasop, you can read all those books at no cost, right? From my digital library, right? But some people like the physical book. So you probably wanted the physical book, right? So that's cool. He says, man, I just bought 2 books that was on Patreon. I'm reading one titled The Popular Handbook of Archaeology in the Bible. I love reading the history of the manuscripts and their reliability. Awesome. There's tons more books on there about that, my brother. Keep digging. All right. Because again, when people say things like Israelites wasn't real and there's no proof that you're Israel and there's no scholarship in Israelite community, I just laugh. I laugh at them. I just say they just don't know. They don't know. You ain't even know. That's what they say. You ain't even know. You feel what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so that's the lesson that once I get off this session, I'll be able to do. I'm getting out of here in about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. I'm out of here. All right. And I'm going to go work on that session so that way you guys have something for the Sabbath. All right. So anyway, so this is the lesson that we're doing. And again, we featured it on the Patreon. So Patreon members knew about it before anybody else. All right. So let's see what other goodies we have loaded up on the Patreon. Okay. All right. So we also have a book suggestion, Slavery, Civil War, and Salvation. I'm going to break that down to you. Look, any of y'all out there who deal with these Christian apologists that say, all the slaves, you know, they was converting to Christianity en masse before the Civil War. What? Oh man, you got to read this book. Matter of fact, oh man, if you're part of the Patreon, you're gonna get this book. The book is already up there for you to access. I think the screen might be a little bit small. Again, it looks different on my side. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Let me zoom in. All right, there we go. All right. So yeah, let's I'm gonna read the abstract for this book. Oh man, see, this is when you think critically, right? When you're a critical thinker. All right. So the abstract of this book goes, and again, I'm gonna show you the book. During the Civil War, traditional history tells us Afro-Christianity proved a strong force for slaves. Hold on, let me zoom it in. All right. You got to read. I read this book and I was like, yo, this book is fire. All right. Let me show it to you on the screen so you can see the abstract, so you can see what I'm reading. You can also purchase this from Amazon too. All right. So check it out. During the Civil War, traditional history tells us Afro-Christianity proved a strong force for slaves' perseverance and hope of deliverance. In slavery, Civil War, and salvation, however, Daniel Fountain raises the possibility that Afro-Christianity played a less significant role within the antebellum slave community than most scholars currently assert, bolstering his argument with a quantitative survey of religious behavior. Okay, quantitative is part of your research methodology. You'll learn that when you join our classes, right? Quantitative Survey of Religious Behavior and WPA Slave Narratives, Fountain presents a new timeline for the African American conversion experience. Both the survey and the narratives revealed that fewer than 40% of individuals who gave a datable conversion experience had become Christians prior to acquiring freedom. Fountain pairs the survey results with an in-depth examination of the obstacles within the slaves' religious landscape that make conversion more difficult, if not altogether unlikely, including infrequent access to religious instruction, the inconsistent Christian message offered to slaves, and the slaves' evolving religious identity. Furthermore, he provides other possible explanations for beliefs that on the surface resemble Christianity, but in fact adhere to traditional African religions. Fountain maintains that only after emancipation and the fulfillment of the predicted Christian deliverance did African Americans more consistently turn to Christianity. Freedom, Fountain contends, brought most former slaves into the Christian faith. Provocative and enlightening, Slavery, Civil War, and Salvation redefines the role of Christianity within the slave community. See, when you deal with these Christian apologists, just bring scholarship. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to contend with them. Just buy the book, read it. And once you read it, cite the book and cite the primary. There's tons of primaries in that book. Cite the primaries and have them interpret the primaries. See, I just hold little things in the bag in the event that I have to go in. But you know, I be nice and I be holding back. Some of y'all, Dre, know the classes did not start yet. They did not start yet. And when they do, you will know because we'll push it. All right. Christopher Martin said that's 3 hours divine time. Oh, man, you already know. So look, check it. This book is so phenomenal. It had references I didn't even know existed. I was like, whoa. So when I was going in my bag, because, you know, I was going in my bag, look for books to share on the Patreon. I saw that book. I said, yo, let me share this with the community. When you read this, it's game over. It's definitely game over. I've actually used a little bit of those things in some forums, anonymous, that they didn't know too much about me and just threw them out there, messed them all up. But if you're a Patreon, you get access to this type of content. We have tons of books like this on there. I'm telling you, man, it's fire. All right, so let's keep going. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we also have a website suggestion, Bible Archaeology Report. So you can learn more about archaeology and means of substantiating the biblical narrative. A dictionary of symbols. This is published by Routledge Publishing Company. This is an excellent. If you want to learn about symbols, the use of symbols, the origin of symbols, the evolution of symbols, this is the book for you. All right. This is an excellent book. All right. Then we get into when you start taking our KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study classes, you will learn how to identify realia, fauna, and flora. All right. This is excellent. These are sources that I got from UBS, United Bible Societies, the works of their hands, man-made things in the Bible, which is considered realia. Then it's all creatures, great and small, living things in the Bible, fauna, and then each according to its kind, plants and trees in the Bible. Also posted another one of these references on the Patreon. So realia, fauna, and flora. As you're reading the text, again, through our classes, we train you to see so many things that you did not pay attention to before in the text. It's phenomenal. Now you're going to be categorizing things as you're reading a chapter, categorizing what is man-made, what is animal, and what is a plant. You're going to be categorizing. And once you categorize it, then you're going to do further investigation in that thing within its historical, linguistic, and cultural context. And then once you understand it from that perspective, then you can better use that as an interpretative lens to see what's really going on in the text. And like I say all the time, if you don't understand the culture, the history, or the language, you cannot interpret Bible prophecy. Stop interpreting Bible prophecy if you don't know these things. Okay. All right. So we skip past that. Next, we have a book called The Harvest Handbook of Bible Lands. Excellent book that surveys the text, shows you how it's connected to the actual historical and cultural aspect of the time period in which it occurred and how the Bible Lands looks today. Phenomenal. Another source called the Bible Lands as Classroom. I have that book right here. Okay. This is a phenomenal book. DVD. All right. It will be made available on the Patreon soon. You guys will have it by late tomorrow evening. All right. It says ideal learning tool for those who have never visited the land of the Bible. Detailed audio-visual picture of the context in which the biblical text originated, geographical, socio-political, historical, developed by highly qualified Bible translation consultants. Now, this DVD, if you see here at the bottom, is a video aid for Bible translators. This is the type of stuff that I read, that I watch. I continuously consume articles, books, and content, video content that now I'm sharing with the community, that people that sit down, these committees that they get to translate the Bible, I'm giving you all the resources that they use to translate the Bible. So not only do they use their background experience from theology school, right, or their PhDs, but they also have Bible helps like this. And I'm making this available to the community. All right, this will be available on the Patreon for people who are serious and understanding how to properly translate the text. I mean, so many things in here is phenomenal. Learning about at what season of the year are the lamb sheared, which is extremely important. What's the difference between a cistern, a well, all right, and a spring? And if you come across one of these words in the text, how to identify it, a barn. We think a barn means some kind of outhouse that has animals and hay and maybe a tractor and stuff. But the barns at that time was just pillar of clay, hardened, or casemate or whatever. And it would just have a breakout. They would fill it with grains. We call it granary or silo. And they would only keep grains in it. They didn't have animals or nothing else in there. So many things, highlands, lowlands, where are the valleys and why the depression and the topography is there in that region, and what did it symbolize? The heights of the mountains, Mount Nebo, where is Mount Nebo overlooking, and why Mount Nebo was important. The Most High took him there, one of the highest peaks, to oversee the promised land before Moshe died. All right. Then you get to see the Jordan River when it flows. What is living water? Why are there fights for several resources such as water? Where do they take their animals to graze if you're a pastoralist, agriculturalist? What are the main crops that you grow? What are the stages of the planting process for barley and wheat? It's a 7 to 8 stage process. Do you know that? If you don't know that, then how you understand the parables that Yeshua taught? How do you understand what the prophets and the Nevi'im, the Nevi'im, the books of the Nevi'im, how do you understand how to interpret prophecy if you don't know these things? Bible helps like this, and tons of the books and the articles that I have, and I have a lot of more videos, and I'm gonna start just adding to the Patreon, helps you to see the tools that they use and the resources they use in order to interpret the text. Some people may have never been to Israel, but it's okay. We have tons of content like this that shows you everything you need to see about Israel without having to get on the plane. However, there's nothing like experiencing it for yourself. All right. So also it goes into introduction to geography, climate, agriculture. Climate is very important. When is a wintry rain season? Abraham to Joshua, right? In the ancient Near Eastern culture, Joshua, Hezekiah to Herod. DVD 2 goes into the New Testament, the Gospels, the spread of the early church and the Roman Empire, religions of the ancient Near East for comparative cultural analysis, and Bible text and canon to how to take all this data and to use it to interpret the text. It's phenomenal. Again, you know, when I got this, you know, recently, because I seen this before. Well, did I see it? I think it was at a church function. I seen it before years ago. And then I finally got a chance to purchase it myself, and it was very difficult to get. It took 3.5 weeks to get to me, and they had to ship it from India because the stock was so low. Stuff like this is very rare, but I make it available to the community. Okay. All right. All right. So again, if you're on a Patreon, if you're at the $50 tier pledge, this will be made available to you because at that tier, you're serious about your studies. We also have Ugaritic available, Syriac available at that tier. We have other website access available at that tier that I pay for annually, and I give you access. I mean, the higher you go up on the tiers, the more perks you unlock. And this right here, I'm telling you, man, is worth every penny. And I have other resources that I add in conjunction to this when this video is made available. So that way you have something that you can order, you can read for yourself. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. That's all I got to say. Shout out to Sister Noelia in the building. Shalom. My sister Navia Yasharel. Shalom. She says she's interested in the grant writing. Please email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and I'll get your request over to Sister Vanessa, who's part of our KHM team, and she also has a non-for-profit organization, and teach you and educate you on how to write grants. All right? Okay. All right. So, Avery S. Bush, yes, the classes will be recorded. There's only 2 ways you can access the classes. You either have to pledge at a $20 tier or more on the Patreon, or you can get it a la carte when we make it available, which is going to be $40 to get the class. There's 4 classes per month, every Tuesday evening, and you just want to jump into it. What I'm doing is working on finalizing the PowerPoint presentation, so that way that is a template that you use when you go into the classes. All right? All right. So we have Amin Ra McCarthy, BS, RRT, and I'm about to get into current events in 1 second. And again, that's what Let's Talk About It is for, right? A lot of times I don't unpack a lot in regards to current events and prophecy, but I will unlock these things and unpack them and talk about them more unfiltered on our Let's Talk About It series on Patreon. All right? Okay. But you asked me whose side I'm on. What you mean whose side I'm on? Why do I gotta pick a side? I'm on Yah's side. Whatever Yah's bringing about from that conflict, that's the side that I'm on. That's it. I'm on our side, our people's side. If our people are there and they're being harmed or damaged in any way, that's what I'm concerned for. Anybody outside of our people, again, I have empathy towards them, but I have a focus right now. Okay, I'm not gonna just gloss over my people and then focus on something else. But I will talk about this in 1 second, and then I'll open it up for a Q&A, open panel forum, and then we're going to close out. All right? So, yes, I appreciate you asking that question, my brother. But again, I'm focused in building my people. So while that's going on and the world's distracted, we over here building. That's how we do. All right? All right, shout out to Brother Kenny. He said, are we going live tonight? We live right now, my brother. I'm going to open up the panel shortly. All right? All right. So, Malchia Uriel, how do you view those who do not believe the New Testament scriptures? They're my brothers. As long as they're doing the will of Yah, that's what Yeshua came to teach. That's my brother and that's my sister. As long as you're doing Yah's will, you're my brother and you're my sister. All right, we're going to have some misunderstandings. We're going to have some disagreements. We're going to have some preferences that may differ, that may be similar, etc. That's what it is. However, at the end of the day, you're still family. That's how I view you. You're my family. All right, as long as you don't bring any contentious, wicked spirit in the mix, we can build. All right, even with the things we disagree on. Okay. All right, shout out to my brother Jen and Drew, 7-Day Theory. Shalom King, what's going on? All right. Shout out to Mother Beulah in the building. Shalom, Mother Beulah. We're keeping you in our prayers, keeping you lifted up in our prayers. All right. All right. So let me finish sharing this, and I'm almost done. All right. So we have also, let's see, that post that I made, another book called Resurrection, Hell, and the Afterlife. People have been asking me what happens after the soul dies, because, I had a conversation. I touched on it a little bit, but I didn't go too much in depth about it. However, I've talked about that subject in previous live streams, right? The perspective of the text in regards to the afterlife. Here's a book resource that also touches on this and looks at other cultural dispositions as it pertains to resurrection, hell, and the afterlife. All right. And it also shows you how a lot of Christianity's presuppositions is derived from the Greco-Roman perspective of these things. All right. And it's not truly indigenous to Israelite culture. All right. Another book called English Grammar Guide for Language Students. A lot of people want to jump into learning biblical Greek and Hebrew and Syriac and Ugaritic, but they don't understand English grammar. So this book right here establishes a foundation in English grammar and showed you how to translate the knowledge of English grammar to other languages, such as biblical Hebrew, Koine Greek, etc., etc. Excellent, excellent resource right here. Everybody needs this. And then we got 394 more posts. Tons of content on here. When you don't see me posting anything on this channel, a lot of times everything is right here on the Patreon. I post continuously on the Patreon. All right. No problem, King. Definitely send that my way. I appreciate that, my brother. And I value your expertise in that field because that's what you do for a living. All right. All right. Look at this. John and Dorsey says no one should be in the land of Israel right now. All the conflict has show that already spoken about in the scripture. I agree. I support our brothers and sisters in the mode. I'm about to bring it up in 1 second. However, see, this is the thing. The scripture says that the Most High will gather us. He will gather us. Him. So many people have tried to be the Most High's hand and do what he said he's going to do. And then when that happens, there's blowback. And we're going to touch on that right now. All right, let's get into this current events thing right now. All right, let's deal with the Demona saga. All right, I want to touch on this real quick. Let's touch on the Demona saga real quick. Let me bring it up for you. For those of you who don't know what's going on in Demona, we're gonna bring it up, and I'm gonna show it to you right here on the screen. So just give me a second. All right, let me show it to y'all. All right. This is from the Times of Israel. African Hebrews say dozens set to be deported from Israel. Spokesman of group says Interior Ministry gave notice to at least 46 families, which is over 100 people, that they must leave country within 60 days, despite much of community having permanent residency. All right, you see that? That is crazy, but we're going to get into it. All right, so just give me 1 second. I'm going to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back with y'all. All right. All right. So let's scroll down some more. Okay. In this Sunday, May 26, 2013 file photo, members of the Black Hebrews community attend the Shavuot Harvest Festival in their village of peace in the town of Demona in southern Israel. The African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, as they call themselves, a community of Black Americans who left the United States for Israel, believe they are the lost tribe of Judah, exiled from the Holy Land by the Romans in 70 AD. According to their teachings, their ancestors wandered across North Africa and eventually settled in West Africa, where they were later captured and sold into slavery in the New World. All right. Dozens of members of polygamous vegan sect in Israel. Why they had to say all of that is there's reasons for that. These are buzzwords, but just read. In Israel have received deportation orders from the government, because when you see stuff like this, it makes them sound like they're a cult. All right. Received deportation orders from the government. The group's spokesman said Monday, despite much of the community having received permanent residency under arrangements within Israel. So some people were born there, supposed to have permanent residencies, and told, see ya, bye-bye. The community, which numbers around 3,000 people, is made up of Black Americans whose leaders moved to Israel in the 1960s and believe they are descendants of an ancient Israelite tribe. Most lived in the southern desert town of Demona. Prince Emmanuel Ben Yehuda, spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, said that the Interior Ministry had given notice to at least 46 families that they must leave the country within 60 days, calling it a shock to the system. The African Hebrew Israelites began arriving in Israel in 1969 following Ben Carter, a Chicago steelworker who renamed himself Ben Amin Ben Israel and claimed to be God's representative on the earth. All right. But Israel was not sure what to make of the newcomers who arrived on tourist visas, adopted Hebrew names, and a West African style of dress. The government was unsure whether they qualify for citizenship under the country's law of return, which is granted to almost any Jew who requests it. All right. This is them playing in their community in 2010. All right. The Interior Ministry granted many members of the community temporary residencies in 1992 and permanent residency status in 2003. Many members study in Israeli schools and serve in the military. For quite some time, we've had a number of members of the community with different levels of immigration status. Some of us have full citizenship, some taking permanent residency, some have temporary residency, and some have no status whatsoever, said Ben Yehuda. He said the community has been working for years with the Israeli authorities to sort out the legal status of those without permanent residency. The Population and Immigration Authority said in a statement that in 2003, 1,200 African Hebrew Israelites were found eligible for residency, and that in the years afterward, the office received other requests for people who are not members of the community. All those who were not included in the list of community members and didn't meet the criteria received a negative reply and effect are residing illegally in Israel for a long period and must leave according to the law, the authorities said in a statement. It added that those who had received deportation letters were entitled to appeal. Ben Yehudis, a community, would appeal the decision. We're here because we chose to be here to build this country and give our energy to the improvement and the betterment of this nation. So it's quite a bit disheartening in that respect, he said. All right. So this is extremely alarming, concerning, and like, wow. So again, this is what I'm saying. Shout out to Kingdom of Yah. All right, KOY. Shout out to the Israelites in Demona. Those are my brothers and my sisters. I know a lot of them. But ultimately, what I'm simply trying to say is you taking occupancy in the land because you feel you have a right to the land does not mean nothing to the people or the Gentiles who are trampling over Jerusalem and the entire nation of Israel. Okay? Because at any given time, because you're not in charge of the government that writes the policies, they can say, see ya, or they can write anything to law to get y'all up out of there at any given time, and there's nothing that can be done about it. So getting a head start, getting into Israel, that's great. Surveying the land, you know, being there to help other brothers and sisters who may come to visit, showing them around, that's awesome, right? But don't think that you're fulfilling prophecy by being there and trying to occupy Israel. Because as you can see, that government has a history against y'all. Matter of fact, let me show you a book. Let me show you a book. Can I show you a book? Let me show you a book. You can access this for free on the Patreon, by the way. Let me show you a book. All right. Check it out. Let me bring it up on the screen. And everybody needs to read this book. Very well written. Several contributors. All right. It's called Blackness in Israel, Rethinking Racial Boundaries, edited by Uri Doshin and Gabriella Dejerian. Raharian. Hopefully I'm saying that right. All right. This is from Rutledge's African Studies. I love Brill Publishing, Rutledge Publishing, etc. Right. So let me show you this. All right. It says this book explores. Hold on. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. I don't want y'all to miss a beat. All right. This book explores contemporary inflections of blackness in Israel and foreground them in the historical geographies of Europe, the Middle East, and North America. The contributors engage with the expressions and appropriations of modern forms of blackness for boundary making, boundary breaking, and boundary remaking in contemporary Israel, underscoring the deep historical roots of contemporary understanding of race, blackness, and Jewishness, allowing a new perspective on the sociology of Israel in the realm of black studies. This volume reveals a highly nuanced portrait of the phenomenon of blackness, one that is located at the nexus of global, regional, national, and local dimensions. While race has been discussed as it pertains to Judaism at large and Israeli society in particular, blackness as a conceptual tool divorced from phenotype, skin tone, even music has yet to be explored. Grounded in the ethnographic research, the study demonstrates that many ethno-racial groups that constitute Israeli society intimately engage with blackness as it is repeatedly and explicitly addressed by a wide array of social actors, enhancing our understanding of the politics of identity, rights, and victimhood embedded within the rhetoric of blackness in contemporary Israel. This book will be of interest to scholars of blackness, globalization, immigration, and diaspora. This is an awesome book. It goes into what is blackness. To offer firm answer to the question, what is blackness, is improper as if taken from another epistemological and a political age, and yet given the convenient manner in which scholars use this term, and regardless of the sophisticated arguments they construct with it or around it, blackness often seems to be self-evident. I don't want you to see that one. This is the particular one I want to read, just the beginning of it. Again, this goes into tons of stuff. If you want to understand the history between those Israelis there and our people, this is the book for you. The best one here is by Abraham Melamed, called The Image of the Black in Jewish Culture. Let's go to page 25. Let's go to page 25. Okay. Go to page 25. All right. You see this? The dread of blackness. All right, let's read this. All right. This paper will offer, and this is The Image of the Black in Jewish Culture, an overview by Abraham Malaman, right? This paper will offer an overview on the image of the Black in the Hebraic and Judaic sources as it evolved in biblical and rabbinic literature until early modern times. It will focus upon the mechanisms by which an ethno-religious minority group considered by the dominant majority to be the inferior other, that's us, identify its own inferior other, meaning that, like, for example, when you see what happened in the Holocaust, right, during World War II, the Jews were considered an inferior other, but they identify Blacks as an inferior other to them. Let's keep going. In an attempt to enhance its own superior image, the Jews that are there, and distance itself from those who are of truly inferior humanity. This especially since the Jews themselves were depicted as dark-skinned or swarthy by majority cultures. It's deep now. Thus, the urge to distance themselves from those who are truly Black and present themselves as white. The dread of Blackness. In Western culture, including Jewish culture, there is a primordial associative distinction between white and Black as colors. Black is associated with negative phenomenon as something dark, dirty, and ugly, thus threatening and repulsive. By contrast, white has a wealth of positive associations with cleanliness, purity, lightness, clarity, thus necessarily beautiful, good, and hopeful. The Black garment symbolizes mourning and widowhood or moral baseness. White, on the other hand, represents purity and virginity. Hence, is proper for a bride at a wedding canopy for Hasidic Jews on Shabbat and holidays. The black plume raven, not to mention the black cloud, are signs of evil and impending doom, while the white dove represents peace and hope. These are just a few examples. There's an enormous reservoir of examples from various cultures and periods since antiquity until modernity, attesting to the power of this color symbolism. Thus, activities considered to be bestial, such as sexual intercourse, should be performed only in the darkness of night. Ruf Rabbah 217 BT Pashim 112b, hidden from public view. In the Midrash of the sin of Ham, Bereshit Rabbah, the locus classicus for Jewish and Christian treatment of the image of the Black, the punishment of Canaan for castrating his father Noah. Again, the text doesn't say he castrated his father. Is said to be the change of his skin color to black. Again, that is nowhere in the written text. This is explained by the assertion that the deed prevented Noah from having sexual intercourse, which is supposed to take place out of the public view, i.e. in darkness. This punishment, which fitted the crime, blackened the skins of the sinner and his descendants forever. Blackness is described as a punishment for a mortal sin and is directly associated with sexual depravity. And when we put forth music that continues to promote this image of sexual depravity, talking about you're going to have sex with some other man's wife in R&B, I'm going to take your girl, right? Or you're going to rape and do this to this person and you expose your sisters and all of this stuff. We're just feeding into the stereotype. This is why we continuously get treated the way we do, because it's inherent in the other that are there in Israel today, occupying it, the dominant group, and us, the minority. So what you're seeing there, that's happening there, if they were white Jews, you think that would be happening right now? But see, you don't know how deep this goes until you do the research. This book right here gives you all the research. So we hear people talk about those white Jews, quote unquote white Jews, and I'm saying that because the juxtaposition in this book differentiates between those who are black minorities and also black Jews and those who are white Jews. That juxtaposition, you need scholarship to validate that. There is a dichotomy there. Don't make people think that white Jews think that we're their brothers automatically. No, they even try to disfranchise you from any claim of heritage from being Israel. But this is long standing. This is years and years of stuff. All right. But like I said, if y'all want this reference, we have it on the Patreon. I have tons of other resources and books like this. This goes in depth to explain to you what's going on. Now, there's a video. I was going to play it, but I'll let y'all watch it yourselves. I'm just going to show the video just in case they may try to do a strike against me. But here's the video right here. You can go back and look on a follow-up in regards to what's going on with this. All right, the video is called African Hebrew Israelites Respond to Israel's Deportation Plans. All right, the YouTube channel is BNC News. Go back and check this out so that way you can get an update on it. And plus, I have people that I'm connected with that know what's going on there, that time period that they gave them is up. You know what I mean? This has been given almost in the beginning of April. So their time period is either up or almost up. And we feel so bad, and we're trying to assist and help, man. It's a crazy situation. But again, when you go into Israel to occupy a space that should be yours by birthright, however, the government that runs, that's trampling over that land, they're setting the statutes. You have to convert over to their form of Judaism. However, some of those African Hebrew Israelites, they were exempted from that because they came early. However, they still have to serve in the military, amongst other things that they have to do. They have to go into their schools and all that other stuff because it's a way of indoctrination. But don't think going there is fulfilling prophecy. It's not fulfilling prophecy. It's not. It's not fulfilling prophecy. And we're going to see that. Hosea Humble said, play the video. Brother, if I play this, they're going to do strikes against this channel. And if I have too many strikes against this channel, there won't be a Kingdom Harbinger Ministries YouTube channel, my brother. I would love to play it, but I want you to play it yourself because he actually interviews Ben Yehuda, who is the spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelites, or KOY, who actually goes into detail and gives an update on what's going on. So go back and check it out yourself so you can see what's going on. Yes, this is on that book is on Patreon, plus other books like it. We have over 200 books on Patreon, and we have about 30 articles on Patreon. And I go into all of this stuff. And when I do the first episode of Let's Talk About It, I bring this stuff up. Okay. All right. So let's skip from that and let's go to something else that's going to Israel. Now, this is important. I'm only giving you a touch of current events because, again, in the Let's Talk About It series on Patreon, the podcast, I'll be unpacking this even more unfiltered, saying how I feel, my personal perspective on these things. Right. Thank you. Up next. Yes, the video can be found. That's correct. All right. So next, let's jump into this next thing right here. Okay. If y'all don't already know what's going on here in Israel, some people already brought it up. This is from BBC News. Israel intensifies attacks in Gaza as conflict enters fifth day. Israel has intensified its assault on Gaza. Let's zoom in some more. As Palestinian militants continue to fire rockets into Israel on the fifth day of hostilities. Israel's military, now mind you, check this out, family. If you're an African Hebrew Israelite or you're a black person, brown person going over there to Israel trying to get citizenship, you know one of the first things they're going to do? Put you in the military. This is what you're going to be doing. This is what you're going to be doing when you go over there. Show me where that's at in scripture. What? Oh, okay. Anyway, Israel's military said air and ground forces were involved in attacks on Friday, but had not entered Gaza. Meanwhile, clashes between Palestinians and Israeli security forces spread across much of the occupied West Bank. At least 122 people have been killed in Gaza and 8 have died in Israel since the fighting began on Monday. Jewish and Israeli Arab mobs have also been fighting within Israel, prompting its president to warn of civil war. Defense Minister Benny Gantz ordered a massive reinforcement of security forces to suppress the internal unrest that has seen more than 400 people arrested. This entire nation there in Israel, the state, has been based off of blood. No peace, blood. Let's keep going. Police say Israeli Arabs have been responsible for most of the trouble. Look at this. Police say Israeli Arabs. Of course, that seems kind of skewered from a particular POV, but have been responsible for most of the trouble and reject the accusation that they are standing while gangs of Jewish youths target Arab homes. So they're saying gangs of Jewish youths are attacking these Arabs, and that's why they're fighting back. But when we go back and look at the casualties, 122 people in Gaza have died and only 8 in Israel. So yet the Arab Israelis are starting the problems, but more of them are dying than the other side. That's really interesting. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. You see this? You see what this looks like? This is in Israel today. How is this fulfillment of prophecy? Tell me. How is this fulfillment of prophecy? Do y'all know about the Balfour Declaration? Huh? Y'all know about the Rothschilds funding the state? Huh? The Zionist Jews? Now, all Orthodox Jews are not Zionist Jews. Matter of fact, there's a beef between Zionist Jews and Orthodox Jews because Orthodox Jews says the Zionist Jews do not have the power authority of the Most High to enact a state in the land that they're currently occupying. I brought this out in a lecture I did a long time ago. Okay? But anyway. So this is what's going on. Look at this. Asatu said there's a movie on Amazon Prime, but yes, it is, sis. I can't remember the name of it. If you remember it, please drop it in the chat. Please drop it in the chat. All right. Repent, there's supposed to be no more war if this was a fulfillment of prophecy, but it's not. An essence of Ebony 0 to 9. I agree as well, because a lot of them are children, sis, and all they know is that land, and now they got to leave. But you know what, KHM and other groups here in the U.S., we're doing our part to provide assistance and support to those families. All right. So let's keep going. Hold on. Let's keep going. Again, sign up for the Patreon so you can tune in to Let's Talk About It, because in Let's Talk About It, I'm more raw and uncut than I am right now. Right now, I still got to be mindful because we're on the YouTube airwaves. But when I do Let's Talk About It, there's no censorship over there. All right. We're going to be generating some real conversations. So let's keep going. This week's violence in Gaza and Israel is the worst since 2014. It came after weeks of rising Israeli-Palestinian tension in East Jerusalem, which culminated in clashes at a holy site revered by both Muslims and Jews. Hamas, the militant group that rules Gaza, began firing rockets after warning Israel to withdraw from the site, triggering retaliatory airstrikes. Now, I want to show you what these Jews were doing. Now, you tell me if this is God's people. Hold on. Let me show it to you. Let's bring it up. Now check this out, y'all. I hope they do not. Know what? Let me just mute it. I hope they don't flag me for this, but I'm gonna play this video for y'all. I want to show you what these Jews been doing right here. Right? Check this out. Y'all see this video? Check it out. You see this? Now that's a fire that's not far from that main mosque that's in Jerusalem that Arabs go to all the time. All of these Jews right there at the bottom, they're happy that fire's burning in the area where Arabs go to congregate. They're excited. They want it all to burn down. These are the people of Yah? This is what you're telling me? Instead of trying to find somebody to put the fire out, all of these Jews, the ones who try to make themselves superior and make us the inferior others, so that way they can point the finger towards us so they can keep their superiority. Look at them celebrating. And they're probably going to do the same thing when they kick those African Hebrew Israelites out. They're going to be doing this right here. Get the blackout. Shakar, get the blackout. Yo, this is what's going on. Celebrating, excited, watching the thing burn. So what started happening was you started getting these Israeli youths going to this area that's in Arab territory, right, where the mosque guys started throwing rocks and bottles at the Arabs there. And they started defending themselves. Are you understand what's going on? That's throwing rocks and hiding your hand. And then when you read the articles, they said the mobs with the Arabs causing this. What? Okay. Let me get more politically correct before they shut this channel down. Again, if you want to hear me talk more raw and uncut about this, sign up for the Patreon. Check out our series called Let's Talk About It, where we go in. So they're dancing that there's fire burning down. But yet when you read the papers, they don't show you the videos where these Israeli youths and these Israelis are going over there right where the fire's at, not trying to put it out, celebrating, throwing stuff over there. And this caused Hamas, the militant group that defends Gaza, and also that a lot of the Arabs who are Israelis are connected to respond. I'm not saying I'm on anybody's side here. I'm on Yah's side. And I only focus primarily on Yah's people here in the diaspora that look like me. So I don't have a stake in that fight. They say, pray for Israel. What? I am praying for Israel. You know who Israel is? The people I see in these ghettos. And go look up what the word ghetto means. People I see in these ghettos in the hood, in the American diaspora, that's Israel. That's who I pray for. I pray for y'all to wake them up to the truth so they know who they are. And we can come together collectively and become autonomous. So we don't have to be wholly dependent upon any entity, whether it's the state of Israel, the America, anybody else, for our sustenance. We have to be able to provide for ourselves. That's why other ethnic groups are able to come over here and be successful, because they don't always have a handout. They work from within. So that's why I thank everybody that contributes to KHM, because you're helping us to do that same thing. Okay, but that's what I'm praying for. I see people, on Facebook, pray for Israel. Instagram, pray for Israel. Some of these are Israelites, but most of them are Christians. You're not going to pray for Israel? Yeah, I do. Every day I pray for Israel. You know who Israel I pray for? And I tell them who I pray for. Go into scriptures and the history and say, yeah, these are also the diaspora of Israel. That's who I'm praying for. The ones over there occupying that land, they're not supposed to be there. So why am I praying for them? Why would I pray for them when we look at casualties? 8 of them died, and 122 Arabs in Gaza or West Bank, they died. 122 of them died, but 8 of them died. And yet we give billions of dollars to the state of Israel for military. There's no way those Arabs in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank or Arab Israelis can ever fight no sustained war with these Israelis. No way they could do that. And I'm not saying the Israelis are the bad guys. I'm not saying the Arabs are the good guys, or the Arabs are the good guys, Israeli the bad guys, or Israeli the good guys, Arabs the bad. I'm not saying that. I'm simply just speaking objectively. Let's look at this. Let's look at this, okay? Let's look at this. Let's look at this. I want y'all to see this, so you don't think I'm making this up. All right, we bring out sources over here. We don't play games, man. All right, can y'all see this screen? Let me know. Let me zoom in, because some of y'all might think I'm just talking just to talk. You know we don't get down like that. Let's zoom in. Y'all see what this says? Congressional Research Service informing a legislative debate since 1914. U.S. foreign aid to Israel. Now, if at any time any of our people over there in Israel get told, yo, all of y'all got to leave, all of y'all got to go, you think you about to fight a war with them over there that's telling you to go? You ain't fighting no war with them. Just like over here, we can't fight no sustained war with the U.S. So to talk about, when I hear people talk about them like, yo, there's no way you can fight no sustained war. Us at KHM, all we want is autonomy, to be self-governance, to take care and take over of our social affairs that have been weighing down society at large, taking ownership of the problems within our community and fixing it through our cultural disposition. That's what we want to do. We're not trying to overthrow America. We're not trying to come up arms and start shooting and do all this wild stuff. KHM is not about that. We're not tracking down Babylon. We're not doing that. We are building and letting y'all do the rest. That has nothing to do with us. It's his job to do that. Our job is to build until he comes. All right? Let me show you this. This has been updated November 16, 2020. This is recent. Let's see how much money has been going to Israel. Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign assistance since World War II. Now, you'll see the state of Africa. Just an example. The U.S. is allies in Africa. But Israel, it says, gets the most money. You see so-called African Americans here in America, we don't get nowhere near the amount of aid that Israel gets. If we had the money given to us that was given to Israel, we wouldn't be in poverty no more. We would be right here neck to neck with every other ethnic group. There's no way they're going to put that money into our community, because they profit off of our poverty, off of our suffering, off of our disenfranchisement. Okay, I can't get too in depth because I don't want them to shut this channel down. But again, let's talk about it unfiltered over there. Let's keep going. All right, since World War II. So I mean, they've been getting money since World War II. Successive administrations working with Congress has provided Israel with significant assistance in light of robust domestic U.S. support for Israel and its security, shared strategic goals in the Middle East, a mutual commitment to democratic values, and historical ties dating from U.S. support for the creation of Israel in 1948. There's no way you can go over there and try to reform the state of Israel when they are disconnected like this with the U.S. It's not going to happen. They're tethered to the U.S. You calling U.S. Babylon, but we're going to go to Israel. What? If you're not controlling policy and governance, it doesn't matter what you do over there. That's why I let y'all do it. But to each his own. And historical ties dating from U.S. support for the creation of Israel in 1948. You know, the U.S. had a hand in that. To date, the United States has provided Israel $146 billion in bilateral, that means it goes both ways, assistance and missile defense funding. You think those Arabs have a chance? With $146 billion going to military aid? You think they got a chance? Come on, man. Come on, man. The Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, is one of the baddest police forces, security forces on the planet because they're getting this kind of money. Now, this is just from Israel. I mean, from the U.S. They got other allies, too. At present, almost all U.S. bilateral aid to Israel is in the form of what? Military assistance. Although from 1971 to 2007, Israel also received significant economic assistance, what? To help build the infrastructure in Israel outside of military. Okay. All right. The Trump administration requested $3.3 billion in FMF for Israel and $500 million in missile defense aid to mark the second year of the MOU. The administration also requested $5 million in migration and refugee assistance, humanitarian funding for migrants in Israel. Now, why is that money not being funneled to those African Hebrew Israelites to help them get residency in that land, when they have also put out scholarship to showcase that they have a legitimate claim to being Israelites? They even was part of the International Society for the Study of African Jewry that I was on, ISSAJ. They was on that committee, putting paperwork out in their committee, putting forth their scholarship to demonstrate how the general public of Jews have misconstrued how to identify who's an Israelite and who's not. Money when the U.S. is sending all this aid, and let's say they say, okay, they're Israel, they're from America, descendants of Americans, or whatever the case may be. Well, America's already putting this money aside. Y'all need to funnel it back to them. And if you're going to deport them, send them some money along with it. They're not going to do that because they don't care about you there. They don't. Okay. All right. Anybody that wants this, I'm going to throw this on the Patreon so you can check out this report. Make sure you share this to everybody, please. Make sure they get this. All right. This is a valid source. This is from the Congressional, look at this, Congressional Research Service that creates reports and reports these things. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Look. That's all they got to do, throwing rocks and bottles and having guns from the 70s. Rustic guns from the 70s. They get into a war, 22 of them died. 122 of them died. And you only got 8 Israelis die. Come on, son. Are you serious? And you know why they mad? Because those Jews don't belong there, according to them. You in our land. Why are you here? Y'all are the foreigners. So they mad. And in that lecture I did, I show you how when they first came, right, these Zionist Jews came to occupy, they had this much space in the land. Everything else was the Arabs and what's called Palestine. Now you just got the Gaza Strip. Unless those Arabs want to become Israeli citizens, then we put them through the same process anybody else who's coming in the law of return to come there have to go through. It's crazy. It's sad and it's crazy. And if they could do this to the Arabs who are trying to lay claim and say, this is our land, you think you matter? You think you matter? What? I know some brothers says, oh, we're going to go to the refuge cities over there near the Jordan. Okay. The flee doctrine. Oh, we got to flee to Israel. Go ahead, son. I'm not going to stop you. Do you? But let's get into the scripture. And after this, we're going to open up the panel for about 30 minutes and I'm going out. All right. Shout out to my brother Chris Bronson in the building. Shalom. Why does the U.S. have such tight bonds with them? Because the U.S. has a military interest in the Middle East. They have oil and a whole bunch of other deals going down in the Middle East. Now, I'm not going to say what all those things are here. I have a lot of declassified paperwork that I'll start to share on the Patreon. You can read for yourself about a lot of the dealings and the deals that the U.S. have going on in that region that's been going on for years. They say, oh, we're trying to stop communism. That's the argument. Russia and China, that's what they say. But that's the PR statement. Y'all believe that if y'all want to. But let's get into the scripture. All right. Debbie Vev said, what scripture? Who are the Edomites today? From Esau to Zionism. That is the name of the lecture. Who are the Edomites? That lecture has almost 160,000 views. My most viewed video on YouTube. All right. Check it out. One of my admins, please drop the link in the chat. All right. So check it out. Let's go into scripture. You know we got to go into scripture. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. All right. Let me show the screen. All right, here we go. Let's zoom in a little bit more in case it's too low. All right. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1 says, the word of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh shall be established as the highest of the mountains and shall be lifted up above the hills, and all the nations shall flow to it. And many people shall come and say, come, let us go up the mountain of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh to the house of the power of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth what? The law, FN is a footnote or teaching, and the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh from Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Very interesting. Now, the reason why I say this is because for those of you who are against the law, well, in the latter days, when New Jerusalem is set up, you're coming back to the mountain of the Most High to learn the law. So why not get acclimated with it now? He shall what? Judge between the nations. He shall decide disputes for many people. He is a pronoun connecting to the nominative, which is the subject, and that is who? The Most High. He shall judge between the nations and shall decide disputes for many peoples, and they shall what? Beat their swords into plowshares, because you know sword is a weapon used to kill, plowshares something used to fertilize the earth, to get the earth prepared for fertilization, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, that's us. Come, let us walk in the light of Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. What's the light? His word, which is his law, statutes, laws, and commandments. This is not going on in Israel right now. So why do I need to go back to Israel? I'll go to visit, do some research, whatever. I'm not going there to stay. For what? Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. This is a messianic prophecy. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there shall be no end, and on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness for this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh of hosts will do this. Yah will do it through an agent that will sit on the throne of David, and there will be peace under his reign and rule. That is not happening in Israel today. So why am I going over there? To live. What? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 23. Let's keep it going. Y'all didn't think I was going to come with scripture. You thought I was going to just run my mouth. Okay. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king and deal wisely and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved and Israel will what? Dwell securely. And this is the name by which he will be called. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days are coming, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, when they shall no longer say, as Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh lives, who brought up the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but as Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh lives, who brought up and led the offspring of the house of Israel out of the north country and out of all the country we have driven them, then they shall dwell in their own land. This is not happening right now. Why am I going over there? This is not happening right now. Huh? What was that? More scripture. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 33. Okay, 14. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, when I will fulfill the promise I made to the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days, at that time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will dwell securely. And this is the name by which it will be called. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh is our righteousness. Huh? More scripture. Let's go to Micah chapter 4. Verse 1. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and it shall be lifted up above the hills, and the people shall flow to it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go to the mountain of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh from Jerusalem. He shall judge between many peoples, and shall decide disputes for strong nations far away, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, but they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh of hosts has spoken. This is not happening right now. Are y'all listening? Huh? Are y'all listening? Or do you want more scripture? Do you want more scripture? Let me know. That suffices. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Let me know. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Let's go to Jeremiah 30. Restoration for Israel and Judah. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Thus says Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the power of Israel, write in the book all the words that I've spoken to you. For behold, days are coming, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, when I will restore the fortunes of my people, Israel and Judah, says Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, and I will bring them back to the land, not the Zionists, not Operation Moses. I will bring them back to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall take possession of it. These are the words Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh spoke concerning Israel and Judah. Thus says Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, we have heard a cry of panic, of terror, and no peace. Ask now and see, can a man bear a child? Why then do I see every man with his hands on his stomach like a woman in labor? Why has every face turned pale? Alas, that day is so great, there's none like it. It is a time of distress for Jacob, yet he will be saved out of it. And it will come to pass in that day, declares Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off his neck, and I will burst your bonds, and foreigners shall no more make a servant of him. If you look to see what's going on in Israel right now with our people, they still have a yoke on their neck. They still have bonds on them. They're not free. You can be all the vegan you want, do all the polygamy you want. You can cultivate the land you want. You can expand your organization to be in Kenya, in Ghana, in the US, and in Israel, and in Egypt. You can do all of that. At the end of the day, you still have a yoke on your neck. You're still in bonds because Yah's the one bringing the ultimate jubilee for his people. But before that happens, we must go through Jacob's trouble. That is what's going on right now. Until we are delivered into the land through supernatural intervention, you going over yourself is going to be nothing but heartache and headache over time. You cannot change this prophecy. It is what it is. And Junior, you are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And that is what I applaud about the Village of Peace. However, they do not control the politics. They do not control the land. So what I'm saying is, if our people are going to go over there and do something that good, and like I tell people over here, the same thing. This is why I tell y'all to get involved in politics. I tell you about municipal incorporations. I tell you ways where you can get hold of the land and have a degree of autonomy. We're doing this out here in Georgia. There are things you can do out there also in Israel. It's a little bit more difficult here than it is here in the U.S., but there's things you can do. But all I'm saying is I'm just trying to show y'all that even though you're there in the land, does not mean nothing to them. And at any given time, they can get rid of all of them. They can even firebomb Demona if they felt like it by saying that we're cults, we're cultists, and we're harboring fugitives, or they can say anything just to go in there and upset what our people have done, the good that we've done in that area. So all I'm simply saying is, please do not approach me with the flea doctrine. If you want to go there, all power to you. All I'm saying, at the end of the day, it needs supernatural intervention from the Most High in order for us to see peace with us in the land. There's not going to be peace with us in the land. Now, we can strive towards that, like Deuteronomy chapter 29, seek the peace of the city, that in its peace you shall have peace. But remember, you're still in captivity. When this was written to them, they were still in captivity. Okay. All right. You see that? Malka Bat Yisrael, there was already a recent disaster there in Demona. I'm not saying that. Other people are saying that. Jacko Black, yes, if you like that, I have a lecture on this channel. One of my mods can throw it in there where I show you how to really, how to take control of your city. All right. If you're in a city that has the home rule enacted in it and the Dillon rule, it can be pushed aside so you can have local autonomy, then you can enact the things I suggested in that video. All right. But at the end of the day, we don't have full ownership. We're going towards ownership. The objective is to have many Goshens. So when Yah judges this place, we are untouched. Let's go to Exodus chapter 9. This is one of the plagues that was hit in Egypt. The hail struck down everything that was in the field in all the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and the hail struck down every plant of the field and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the people of Israel were, was there no hail. When Yah was judging Misraim and the Elohim of Misraim with these plagues, Goshen was untouched. Do you understand? That's important. That is what we are trying to establish. We're not trying to take over America. We're not trying to be no militant group and start these uprisings in America. That's not our job. Yah is the judge over these nations and what they've done to his people. Our job is to wake up to the truth, keep these statute laws and commandments, and community build. And build so hard, the only way that we could be fully set apart is through autonomy. That's it. If we cannot self-govern our own social affairs, you will continuously be tethered to a society that will eventually be judged by the Most High. This is how we work from the inside out. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let me go into the open panel discussion. We got another 20 minutes or so for open dialogue. If anybody wants to jump in, ask a question, make a point statement, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Remember, we got 20 to no more than 30 minutes. I'm going to let you know going forward, Freestyle Friday, will only be 2 hours and 30 minutes. I will have to cut it short if I have to cut it short, and then it will be taken up in a future time. All right. So right now we have 37 minutes, and then I will cut it short so I can focus on the Sabbath message that I know some of y'all want for tomorrow. All right. I want to look out for y'all. All right. So here we go. Remember, hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying what's here. Share this video. Okay. Hit subscribe if you're brand new. And if you want the after party that goes down 365, 24/7, that's the Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon, and you can get tons of resources like this and more. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So there's the link there in the chat. Click the link. Click the link. Click the link. Let's jump in, have a discussion. Respectful, amicable dialogue. Unless you want the smoke, then we can transition. But let's have a build, whether you agree or disagree with me on what we just talked about or anything in general. The link is there. Click the link, join in. Let's enjoy the rest of our 30 minutes together as a family, and then I'm out of here. All right. I want to be able to do this lesson while I still have a burst of energy. All right. Again, let them be distracted. Let the world be distracted. Don't let the distractions take hold of you. You build while they're in turmoil. While they are looking the other way, we building. And that's what KHM is here to do, to provide that avenue for us to do that as a community. One of many. All right. So shalom, my brother. Shema, what's going on, King?
Hey, shalom. I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. LESJ Keys. I'm going to get to you in 1 second. All right. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, I just got done with, school and everything. And so now I have a lot of time and I'm getting done with that presentation. Did you get my email?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Did you get any of the links that I sent you?
Yes. I didn't get to look at them yet and wait until I have downtime over the weekend to look into that.
Okay. Do you know any other like sharing platforms we can use when it comes to presentations besides Google presentation? Because I don't like the format, and I was wondering if there's others that you might know of.
There's a few that you can use to present,
and also to share, so you can edit them as well, just in case you want to add something in.
Yeah. There's a few. I have to send them to you. Shoot me an email reminder, and I'll get them to you.
All right, nice. And also, you said sometime in June. When in June would you want to do it? Because I ordered a DNA kit from African ancestry, both the paternal and the maternal, and I want to add that into the video. And it should be arriving sometime May 13th or 15th. And so, when exactly would you want to shoot?
Maybe the third weekend in June, because I'll be traveling. So we're still planning to set up physical chapters officially in New York, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Houston, Texas. So we'll be doing that in June. So that would be one of those off weeks. So maybe the third weekend of June is what it's looking like, because this month I'm working on my dissertation and complete that and trying to get these other shows up and running. June, I'll have more free time, and that way I can put the finishing touches on my presentation and we can present. So I'm aiming for a third weekend in June. Hopefully we both will be finished by then and ready to go. If not, then the latest will be that weekend of July, first weekend of July.
All right, so July or June. Okay. And I was thinking, are we going to do one whole episode for that entire day?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you present, depending on how amount of time that you have. I'm going to let you present. And then once you do your presentation, I'll do mine at a separate time. So that way I give you enough time to do as much as you can in that presentation a lot of time. So you have anywhere between 2 to 4 hours if you want to put out that information. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Okay.
And I think that should be enough time. Yeah.
All right, because I broke it up into. I'm thinking about breaking it up into. Hopefully it doesn't sound like a lot, but like 4 parts or 5 parts, because I want to cover, of course, from Joseph to, of course, the Exodus, and I also want to cover the inhabitants of Canaan at that time, because a lot of people don't know who inhabited Canaan at that time, and new DNA research when it comes to the Canaanite population being Hurrian is very interesting, and I was going to get into that, and their connection to the Jewish people. And then I was, of course, going to go after that into some of the migration patterns of us into the land of Africa. So all that will be like 5 parts, breaking it up, and also like to practice a little bit with you, like talk behind the scenes of like certain information you might want to add. I know you know a lot about Egypt and whatnot, so.
Okay, no problem. All right, that sounds good, my brother. I look forward to it. This has been a long time coming, but eventually we'll get that knocked out and taken care of. I look forward to that. I want to make sure I'm able to buckle down myself next month and focus on finishing my presentation so I can use it to complement yours. And we're going to lay something down for the community, man. And again, all scholarship, no opinions or nothing, just straight scholarship.
Yes, sir.
All right, King. So thank you for coming on and voicing that, man. And, like I said, I saw your emails. I just didn't get a chance to get to it until the weekend. I'll look them over. I'll give my feedback on it. And you have my number, right? You can text me.
Yes, I think I do.
That's right there at the bottom of the screen.
Any of my texts? I think I sent one yesterday.
Send another one. It's right there at the bottom of the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that, man.
All right.
All right. Thanks for everything.
All right. Anytime, King, and vice versa, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening, all right? Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom.
All right. Okay, so next up we have is LESJ Keys. Shalom.
Shalom. It's actually alias, but that's how it's spelled. It's kind of like a play on words. But it's also Gideon Yardin Yisrael. Shalom to you, brother. Shalom, everybody listening. I have 2 quick things I just want to present to you. First, I want to present something to you. Then I want to ask you what you think about it. Then I want to just show you something that I put in the back chat already. So the first thing is this. I came across something rather interesting while I was, kind of just looking over some things. And that thing is that, and it's kind of funny because this is something I've learned after my name, which was given to me by an African, which is Gideon. So it kind of it's kind of just funny how it all came out. But I came to find out, and it's rather interesting that the word Gideon and also Wagadu are Hebrew words. When you look at the word Gideon, it comes from Gada. It's Gadayan. And when you look at that word Gada, it means warrior. And when you look at a transliteration of it as well, in the verb sense, it's Wagadu. And when you look at the history of Ghana, and you see that Ghana isn't the name of the empire, but the title that the kings held, which meant warrior, and that the capital was actually Wagadu, it kind of just struck me as like, that actually was something that was kind of like amazing to me, that could be possibly true. So I just want to ask you what you think about that. And also, I put something in the back chat, right? Like the Sephardim, they dealt with a lot of tales, and like, the father would pass on stories that the great grandfather told them and things like that. And I have a whole bunch of them, but I can't source it out. I can't find where I got it from. But that's what I sent you in the back chat. And it has a lot of stories from that connects 70 AD with them coming, not only after the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, but before that as well. You know, it speaks to some places like Ulud Musa, you know, the tradition where that, you know, when Moses was leaving the Exodus, some of the Israelites, they didn't go to Israel. Some came into Africa. So it talks about that. It talks about the Nazarenes, you know, fighting with the tribe of Ephraim. So, you know, like I say, I sent you that link. And if you ever find out like where is it sourced from, I would really appreciate that, because I've been trying to find out where I got it from. I got it from Stanford, like a Stanford art engine or something like that, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I just like to say, man, you do a lot of good things, man. You one of the brothers that's definitely representing out here for us, and I just like to know what you think about those two things.
Yeah. So the second thing you said, I would say just email that to me so I can look into it and see exactly what you're referencing further. Instead of putting in the chat, so just shoot the email, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And as soon as I get a moment, I'll take a look at it and I can provide you feedback for that. The first thing you had mentioned was that reference to Ghana. I've heard that before. The only thing that I would like to be done, and this is why this year we're hoping to be in Ghana in October to go and do some primary research on the ground, is to actually have some more academic work in that field, right? Of course, the place names and the etymology, etc. Because without that, it's kind of difficult to validate claims like that. Not saying they're not true, but actually to validate that so that way we can give more substance to it when conveying it to our people who may not see those connections, right? So we got to get involved more in getting our people over there who identifies with this way of thought to put more scholarly work in. Now, there's a couple of books that have been laid out and a few articles, but they're not enough. And a few of them are conflicting, right? So I can probably share some of that with you in regard to what you're saying about Wagadu and Gideon, etc. So I'm familiar with that because I have a couple of brothers that also have presented that, but there's not a lot of like solid research on it. And that's something that we need to take into our own hands and do ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, I don't know. Have you ever been to Ghana or plan to go to Ghana?
Nah, I actually tried to get my passport, and when they turned me down, I never tried to get it again. So
well, let's see if we can work together to get that taken care of, because you know, when we do go to Ghana, y'all willing, if we're able to this year, hopefully this coronavirus thing starts to die down. We want to do that type of research there. That's really why I'm going there, right? People say, oh, you got to go see the slave ports and go see, you know, Panifest and other things that they got going on. And I said, oh, okay, that's fine, dandy and nice. And you know, they want to, you know, enchant us with the fact that, oh, you can get land here and work with us. Okay, that's great. I know all of that. I'm there to interview the head chiefs, look into the oral traditions, go into their universities, see what they have on record. That's what I'm there for. Like, I'm going for, not just to look at the ex-slave ports and all of that fun stuff. And when I say fun, meaning historical stuff that people like, I'm there to do ground research to either validate or invalidate our claim to be Israelites and passing and coming through that realm in that region, right? So I have brothers who are part of the Gandangne tribe, and they've shared some information with me. I have some brothers out of Fante and a few that I know that are Shante, and they shared some things with me, both for and against that argument, right? So the objective is to put enough scholarly research down and be able to create a solid case to say, hey, look, this is what we have. And based on the consensus of A, B, and C, this is where this should lead us, right? And then we can go further into that research. So that's why now I can't say that definitively that's what it is. I would say there's a good degree, or what I say probability, based on what I was told. And I'm telling this by somebody who's from there, that's the connection that they made. But I say to them, hey, we need more research on that. So that's when we got to start writing. That's when we got to start doing primary research. That's when we got to start putting out books and articles, because this way we can put so much evidence that's unrefutable that nobody can argue against what we're trying to claim, right? And that's the area I'm trying to go. So I would love, if you have a passion of that, get you involved and let's get it done.
Right. Real quick, my brother. The Falasha connection, because I don't really look at my connection coming from Spain. I kind of look at the east-west migration. What do you think about the connection of the Falasha with the Falata people?
Well, the Falasha would be the Jews that we in the area what we call Ethiopia, right? They'll be called the Beta Israel Jews, right? And they call them Falasha. The Falasha Jews, that even that word Falasha is a derogatory term, right? It's not something that's endearing. So I really don't call them that, but I know what you're talking about because it means like they're false, not real people. But there is a legitimacy in regards to the claim of them identifying themselves from the tribe of Dan. Right.
Yeah.
And claiming to be Israelites. How do we know? So I wish I had it in front of me right now, but I don't. But I'll put it, via, on this the community tab or something like that, where they did an investigation before Operation Moses, and they started to bring those Jews there to the state of Israel. That they was examining their customs and their traditions, and they realized that there were some things that they were doing that go back to the first temple.
Right.
And that goes to show they were not influenced by any of the oral traditions that developed after the destruction of the temple. They didn't have any residue of Babylonian customs, right, which we see infused in the post-exilic Israelite culture. They don't have any forms of Judaism, which is driven by the Talmud, right, and other Mishnaic works. None of those things were embedded in their practices. So they were not converts, but they preserved things that go back to the first temple, which was phenomenal. I have 2 articles that was written on that. Yeah. So you cannot look at them and say, oh no, they're converts, but they're maintaining practices that's not the norm for Orthodox Judaism. When other groups, Judaizing groups, they share practice. I'll give you an example. My argument that I make on behalf of the Igbo being Israel is through Omenema. It's not through the Jews that you see that adopt Ashkenaic practices. We can tell by the way they dress, right? They have the prayer shawls, the talit that they wear, their prayers that they give forth, right? All of those things showcases where their influence comes from. However, if you go into their indigenous practice, you'll see a lot of the things that we will label as pre-exilic Israelite customs embedded in there. Matter of fact, when Edith Bruder, who is a skeptic and a critic of any claims of authentic African Jewry, she always focuses on the Judaism movement and never on the Hebrewists, which she identifies in her books. And the Hebrewists is the group that say, yeah, we subscribe to the fact that we are descended from migrants from Israel. However, we don't need to convert to Judaism, because if you look into our culture, you'll see the pre-exilic practices are right there. And I did a whole lecture on this. And there's other people like Odi Mugalu and Remy Alona, other authors that have written extensively on this matter, right? So the arguments would be made from customs, oral traditions, migratory patterns that can be validated based on doing boots to the ground work.
Right. And real quick, because I know you got other people, and this is a reason why I make my point, because even you didn't hear like the difference I said. I did say Falasha.
And then you said a distinction, correct? You did.
Yeah. I said, my, slight research or whatever leads me to believe that the Falata, the Falatta people are connected to the Falasha, because when you read a lot of the material from like the 16th, 17th centuries, it's talking about these Falata people. And when you look at them, they have, they're spread all over East to West Africa. And you have the ones in West Africa that have, like, in the 1950s, remigrated back to the Blue Nile. So it's just from the things that I was looking at, it led me to the conclusion that the Falata people could very well be the Falasha people, because it was a big dispersion of what quote unquote a kingdom in Ethiopia.
And again, this goes back to tracing the origins of Dan in West Africa. So there's scant material written about what you said that make those associations. But again, this is stuff that we have to take and then put it into research papers and present it, because it allows us to be more thorough and to put this type of stuff into a fine-tooth comb grabbing all the data available in regards to the subject matter, creating a hypothesis and moving forward with that so we can sway the consensus that the weight falls on the fact that the Falada can also be the Falasha peoples or originate from the Falada peoples. We can make those arguments and we can substantiate it. We just have to do the research and lay it down in paper. So that way it's authenticated for those people who are really interested in that type of stuff. So a lot of even some of our people have genetic ancestry back to those people, right? So that's also very important, right? Because that also goes to show the scattering those people. A lot of that happened during the Arab African slave trade, right? A lot of people don't know about that, but that's another discussion altogether.
But thanks for your time, Divine. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
And shalom to the people, man.
Anytime, King. Thank you for your insight that you shared, and hopefully it sparks more research from other people to look into it further, and you as well if you're interested. Like I said, shoot me an email. Let's talk more about it, and if we can do more hands-on, boots to the ground and academic research to kind of solidify that, let's do it. All right. Shalom, King. All right. So next up is my brother Ezekiel Watchman Emmanuel. Unmute your mic. You got the floor. We got 16 minutes left, y'all.
What's going on?
I'm good, King.
Just wanted to say I was one that joined the Patreon last week. I've been checking out the content. I'm really enjoying it. Also watching your One and the Same series, part one. Just finished part one. But I had a question, and I ain't never heard anybody talk about this. In the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 12, it says, an angel of the church of Pergamos wrote, these things he says, who has the sharp two-edged swords. I know your works and where you dwell, where Satan's throne is. Right. So he's, but then when you go to Revelation 13:2, it talks about, now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. So if the dragon's seat and where he dwells is in Pergamos, and Antichrist rise up and gives him that power and his throne. So the next question is like, where's Pergamos? That's like modern day Turkey.
Slow down. So in regards to the persecution of the individuals at Pergamum, have you done any research on that? There's some good books that have been written on that.
Right. No. I mean, I've a little bit. But
if not, I can get it over to you. That's why I'm asking if you.
I would love anything you got.
Because the question would be, if Pergamos is a real place, should we be looking towards there to see the beast that's coming out? Because the dragon is giving him his power and authority, right?
Pergamos was an ancient city, and it's in modern day Turkey.
There you go. So is Turkey what we should be looking at? That's what you're asking me in regards.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because if that's where his throne is, that's where his seat and that's where his authority comes, and he's giving that to the Antichrist. How come we're not looking over there?
All right, so I'll tell you why we're not looking over there, right? Two things to take into account. In Revelation chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 3, these letters were written based on the current condition that these ecclesia, these called out ones, were experiencing at the time. So what was being written was given to them to address their immediate situation. When we get further on to Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, that's something that's coming at a much further time, right? So if you want to make that association, I mean, I guess you can. Even people who talk about Gog and Magog coming from the east, they believe that they may come to what we call Turkey today, or where the Hittites had Hattusa Empire, or the Mitanni Empire that was there where the Hittites were at. That are still some remnants, some descendants of them are still there, are the ones that are actually going to be the ones that's going to be, causing all this trouble and so forth, because they're fulfilling the prophecy unbeknownst to them, right? So I would make a clear distinction between what's written here to deal with something directly, because it says here Satan just means an adversary, where the adversary's throne is. Yet you hold fast to my name and did not deny my faith, even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was killed among you, where the adversary dwells. Right. So it's just saying the term adversary. Now, when we go a little further, we do see the word dragon, and we do see where it says beast, but we don't see Satan attributed to that dragon in Revelation 13. So we could be talking about different adversaries. And in this case, they were being persecuted throughout the Roman Empire from various groups. Some of them were the Jews that were being persecuted by. And this is why we said there are some of that call themselves Jews and are not, or the synagogue of Satan. Some of them being persecuted by the Roman Empire, right? Because they were atheists, meaning that they were against the state-sponsored religion. So they were considered atheists, right? These believers in Yeshua. You know what I'm saying? So any adversary has their throne in that region. And if you know anything about the Roman Empire, they had other, what we call auxiliary thrones in different areas that they ruled from. One of the major areas is places on the coast of Turkey and in what we call modern day Syria, right? Syria was a big deal for the Seleucids to actually control from the Ptolemies when Alexander the Great died. That was a very important region for a very important purpose. And when you learn about the Arameans and how they influenced, you know, the Syrians, and then later on, you know, the Babylonians and the Persians for imperial Aramean, or what we call Aramaic, but Arameans, there's a lot of influence in the seat in that region. And that's why the Romans wanted to control that area. And also why they wanted to quell a lot of the uprisings of this growing movement that were becoming hostile towards the state-sponsored religions that allow Rome to stay in control. This is also another reason why Rome went and took over Europe, because they were practicing indigenous things there that allowed them to kick against the prick of the authority and rule of the Emperor of Rome, right? So again, I say it to say, when we go back to Revelation 13, we have to look to see, do we see the word there for Satan, right? Do we see the word Satan in Revelation 13? Now, if you go to Revelation 12, we see all these other multiple names that are called, the dragon is called, right? So let's go to Revelation 12, right? And Revelation 12, we have here, let's go up here. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon on her feet, and her crown on her head of 12 stars. She was pregnant, was crying out in birth pains, the agony, etc., etc. But then it goes here and says, and another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 diadems. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. Then it goes on and on, but then it goes back and talks about him here in verse 9. And this is what it says. It says, and the great dragon, not just dragon, but the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who was called devil and Satan, an adversary, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. So if we look at what it's saying here and defining this character here that we then see is influencing the events in Revelation chapter 13, and then we want to take that and say, hey, this is the same entity that was the adversary on a throne in Revelation chapter 2. The problem with that is this prophecy comes much later. This is happening in later times, right? What they were experiencing there was something that was already being fulfilled, right? Now, could they have an association? It's possible. I'm not saying no, but when you read the historicity of Pergamos and that region at the time and what the Romans were doing, and why it was important for the Roman Empire to have a foothold in that region against the Christians that was spreading, and I say Christians, quote unquote, that was spreading, you'll understand why he says the adversary's throne is here. Some kind of influence is happening to Rome that is causing those believers to be persecuted, but they stood their ground, right? So if you want to look towards Turkey, I have no problem with that, my brother. Do some further research. Again, share it with me, you know, enlighten me on it in regards to your perspective. I'm not against it. I just tried to deal with it in a particular method so that way I can make things distinct and make associations when the text says to make certain associations, right? So that's just how I approach it. No,
I mean, there also wasn't lost on me that, you know, like Constantinople was the second head. Like when the Roman Empire got so big, you had Rome.
There you go.
And it was one church, and then you had Constantinople, which is also.
There you go. Because
you know,
the Byzantium Empire, they switched their location. Right, over time, and then especially when Islam rose up, that was their seat. That's why I said Turkey was very important, along with Syria, and why they had to keep control of those regions no matter what happened. And the Christians are coming, causing these stirring up and these uprisings, meaning they were resisting Caesar because they felt that he was, you know, denouncing their particular religion and their way of life. So they were facing persecution. Now, another thing that's kind of a difficulty is finding what emperor was actually persecuting them. Some people say it was Nero, some people say other emperors, but a lot of the primary data is not there to support that because there were other local persecutions that were happening. So I'll give you an example. So you remember when they were persecuting the followers of Yeshua, and when they came together, these Sadducees, Pharisees, and scribes, and they was talking about how if they don't do something about this man and this movement, how it's going to hurt their control as a people in that region. There's always auxiliary entities that have been placed in particular positions, or vassal rulers or governors placed in different positions by the Romans. And the Romans, what they do is that they give them citizenship and they give them other perks if they do their job by keeping control in those regions. They were the Messianic started to rise up and kick against that, causing problems, and that caused Rome to come against the rulers there in that area. Was led up to what we find that happens in 66 AD was the start of that war. The same thing was going on in Turkey when you study the history of Turkey. And again, you touched on one of them, which is how the seat of authority moved to where? Constantinople. It moved to what we call Turkey, or the Byzantine Empire, ruled from out of the seat of Turkey. And one of the major footholds they had was in Pergamos. Look it up. And like I said, I have some sources on that you can take a look at that will help further you in this direction of study that I know you want.
All right. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Inbox me on Patreon and I'll get it over to you when I get a chance.
All right, we'll do. All right.
All right, King. Thank you for your time and your insight.
All right, thank you, man. I'll hit you up on the video. Yep.
All right, King. Shalom.
All right, shalom.
All right, so next up is Sham Shwan.
Yeah, shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, right, in the book of Hosea, chapter 6, verse 2, where it says he would revise it.
I'm sorry, my brother. You said Ezekiel 6:2?
No, Hosea chapter 6, verse 2, I think.
Okay, let me get it. All right.
Is that the one? I'm in my car right now, so
no problem.
Yeah, is that the one where it says he'll revive us and then raise us up in 3 days on the third day?
Yes.
Okay, so like how with Christ, with Yeshua, right? He how he was buried and then he rose on the third day, right? Is this symbolical of him raising us up on the third day after he went to the Father?
This has nothing to do with Yeshua.
I mean, I know, but what I'm saying is it's similar to like how he was rose on the third day. Could you look at it as, because most people you hear say that he walked the earth 2,000 years ago. So when I see the third day, I'm thinking, well, he's gonna raise us up spiritually, which is the last day, which will be 3,000 years after he walked the earth. So you're saying that in 979 years he's going to revive us? No. What I'm saying is this, right? How long would you say it is when Christ walked the earth?
Well, they say that he died anywhere from 29 to 34 CE. So that would be a little less than 2,000, almost 2,000 years.
Okay, so, and that's 2,000 years ago, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I thought it was like we're in the last 1,000 years to make it the third day, because like in the book of Peter says.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we're in right now. We're in the last 1,000 years, because in the book of Peter, I tell you, one day with the Lord is 1,000 years.
It's correct. So I think that's an interesting insight. However, I don't know if we can use that to interpret Hosea 6:2, because the reason why I say is because within context of Hosea 6:1, matter of fact, let's just read it real quick so we can get the context, right? So it says, wrong page. It says, "Come, let us return to Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh, for he has torn us that he may heal us. He has struck us down and he will bind us up. After 2 days, he will revive us. On a third day, he will raise us up that we may live before him. Let us press on to know Yod-Heh-Wah-Veh. His going out is sure as dawn. He will come to us as showers, as the springs rain that water earth. What shall I do with you, O Ephraim? What should I do with you, O Judah? Your love is like a morning cloud, like the dew that goes away. Therefore, I have hewn them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth. For I have desired steadfast love, not sacrifice, the knowledge of the Most High, rather than burnt offerings. But like Adam, they transgressed the covenant, and they dealt faithlessly with me. Now, the reason why I'm reading this is because whenever we're looking at a passage, we want to determine, is this prose? Is this poetry? Is this a particular narrative about something? Is there figurative language used in here? And what I would say is, in this context, it seems as though they're using 3 days, obviously, figuratively, right? Because none of this happened in 3 days, right? So obviously they're using this for something figuratively about the status of Israel and Judah at that time and what will happen at some later time, right? But when we go into the realm of Peter, he's really trying to give them encouragement in regards to the end times by just using that as a metaphor to say that the Most High is not slack in concern to his promise, but that the way we calculate time is not the same way that he calculates time, right? Correct. So I don't think he's really saying it as a key to unlock this per se, but I just think his audience, he's just letting them know because they was thinking that, you know, when is this going to come? Like he's already gone in the grave. It's been X amount of years later. We don't see nothing happening. You know what I'm saying? But in this case, this is the Most High dealing with Israel and Judah being unrepentant, being stiff-necked, hard-headed, that he has to beat us and judge us before he can raise us up and restore us. And in those 2 days and third day is all what we call an idiom, right? And this is what Christians try to use to say, this is based on the resurrection of Christ. They try to use this to say that. That's the reason why I said it, my brother, not to shut what you said down, but just to let people know that this has nothing to do like the resurrection part of when it does with Yeshua, like Christians use it. But this is something that is distinct in regards to particular to how he deals with them, because what the number 3 represents, right? In regards to, you know, the pre-exilic understanding of their numerical system at the time. 3 had a very significant purpose, right? So I would say that's a good way if you wanted to kind of like throw ideas out there and kind of look further into it. But I wouldn't use what Cephas or Peter said to interpret this, because what if that time period comes and nothing happens? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not saying that that's the case, because I don't know. We guess what? Me and you ain't gonna be here to see it. You know what I'm saying? Even if time goes on to them, we're gonna be dead, right? So me and you be having this conversation. Where are we gonna be at? Like, oh, you know what? You were right, my brother. You were right. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna be here to see it if that's the case. But nonetheless, what I would say is I just try to take things within its context, unless there's another reason to make the association. And I believe in this case, it's talking about the nation in general. And in Peter, he was just talking about certain believers that believe that Yeshua, that the Most High is not going to come and you know, take them like he promised. But he's just trying to give them words of encouragement to, hey, just hold on a little longer, because the way you time things is different than the way the Most High time things. This is really not talking about the Most High's timing. It's just using this as a metaphor because of what 3 represented to the Israelites at that time. You know what I'm saying? Right. But nonetheless, good insight. It allows people to think outside the box, to look further into what's being said, not to dismiss it outrightly. But thank you for reiterating it, because I didn't catch you at first, but then when you kept saying it, I said, oh, okay, I know where you're going at. So yeah, that's some good insight to end off with, my brother. I appreciate that. I'll definitely will look into that further. And if we discuss something again and you have something new, please bring it to the table and let's continue to talk about it. All right?
Yeah. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, great. Shalom. I appreciate it.
Anytime, King. So thank you for your support as always, man. Enjoy the rest of your Shabbat if you keep Shabbat. If not, enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll talk again, King. All right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Good peoples, man. Every brother that came on here, good peoples, man. Co-sign them. Good peoples, man. All right. So with that being said, family, it's past 2 hours and 30 minutes because people say, oh, I try to share your videos. You know, they have good stuff, but my family member, my friends say it's too long. But yet they'll watch back-to-back Netflix series. And they complain it's too long. You know why it's too long? Because they don't want to learn. Because once they learn, they're going to be obligated. And the obligation is to seek the truth. And the truth hurts. But it has to hurt before it can heal. And that's just the way it is. All right. So with that being said, I know you'll probably put some questions in there I'm sorry that I didn't address all of them. I was just trying to focus on the show. I would love to answer them, but I'm going to wrap up for tonight. So please hold them for the next live stream that we have. I want to thank everybody for joining, all our new people who just signed up for the Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. All our new members that just came on board and paid their dues so we can have upstart capital to get things done, a surplus in the storehouse in case there's a need, and pay out stipends for people who volunteer. Again, we have volunteer roles for KHM. We have tons of work that need to be done, and we need people to help out with it. All right, so please help out with it. And before I go, I want to show one last thing to y'all. All right, before I go. All right, one last thing before I go. And I'm glad I remembered it, because I would be mad if I forgot it. All right. Now, when we talk about supporting our own, when we talk about creating, homeschooling, for our community, virtual homeschooling, homeschooling centers in the city, it starts by first supporting the groups that are out there that actually have academies. Now, Saha, Set Apart Homeschooling Academy, I have a video of this school in Norfolk, Virginia, up on this channel. You can go and watch it. We're also partnering them to help get our KHM virtual homeschooling service off the ground. Right now, they're in need of financial assistance, so that way they can keep their school. If you are in Norfolk, Virginia, there's actually a homeschooling center that is out there teaching our children about culture, that is teaching them, academics, the way that they learn. And the David Woods and his Isha are awesome people. Moray David, let me call him Moray David. He's a Moray David. He helps to also lead our KHM Norfolk chapter, and they're doing a phenomenal work in the community. And right now they need more finances to keep their school open, because a lot of things have been raised. I don't know if it was targeted against them or not. I don't know. But I promised him, if he was able to put up a GoFundMe, that I would let the community know that we actually have a homeschooling center that teaches our children culture intertwined with academics that exists in Norfolk, Virginia. And they've been doing this for years now. And now they are facing some economic hardships and they need assistance from the community. So please, if you have $1 or if you have $1 million and you can give it here, please do. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and I'm going to also put the link in the description when this video is over. All right. Please support if you can, because it's little things like this that if we do, we can continue to maintain our autonomy or self-governance of our own social affairs, and educating our children from K to 12 is essential in grooming them in this culture, in this way of life. So whenever there's a need from somebody in the community, when it comes to education, I always want to help and support. They did their part by creating the GoFundMe. I'm doing my part by advertising it so people can support. Let's support our own family. All right. So we can continue to keep these things going. And what we want to do as KHM is put a homeschooling center like Saha in every major city that we have a chapter in. But it starts first by helping the local chapters that have an actual model and archetype for us to build on. All right. So again, please support, family. Please support. I appreciate that. All right. S. McGee, last question says, what is your position regarding Sephardic connection? Do you have anything in Patreon? You said Sephardic in regards to what? Inbox me on Patreon about that, and we can chat offline. All right. So I'm gonna try to put some additional resources that we touched on in this session on the Patreon as well. So again, if you're not on the Patreon, please sign up for the Patreon. That's the after party is on the Patreon. Tons of content on there, is growing every week, and you don't want to miss a beat. All right. And thank you everybody else who signs up for KHM, getting involved in our groups that we have, getting involved by proxy of that in the community, and translating all this deep stuff into resolving societal ills. All right. Love you, family. Thank you for watching. Peace and shalom.